So I just said to my dad, just because it has a cartoon wolf on the cereal box doesn't mean it's for children. And I think that really hit home with him.
Are you referring to Cookie Crisp?
Yeah. He asks me what cereal I want for Christmas, and that's what I say every year.
Cookie Crisp.
Yeah.
Do you only eat that at Christmas, or is that like
I eat
a
one
favorite?
box of that at Christmas, and that's it. I will not eat it again for the rest of the year. Why are you making a face?
I'm not.
You were making a face, Niamh.
It's part of your Catholic energy.
What are you talking?
Yeah, your weird strict code of like limitations make me stronger. Cookie Crisp, I am so much fonder.
Bryan, I'm gonna stop reading you my poetry if you're just gonna say it on the podcast.
I keep looking at the notes on John's phone, and that's what it says.
Yeah, you're always asking questions about shit you see, like the timer.
Yeah, so the other day, John was like going through something on his phone, and he was like closing a bunch of apps, and one of them was a timer that had been running for like 13 hours.
What was that for?
It doesn't matter.
And I was like, what's that? And he was like, shut up. I think what happened was he pressed the button by accident, forgot to close the app, and it was running a timer in the background.
I can confirm that is not what was happening.
Yeah, because that's really uninteresting. I don't want to guess what that is.
You can guess.
I don't know, because it's I feel it's some kind of denial thing, which kind of gets really like into like some TMI areas. Like you denied yourself something for 13 hours and you see how far you could go.
I mean, I guess we'll never know.
Is it like, I don't know, I don't want to even say it.
Yeah, I don't like where you're going. I don't like where you're going one bit. So I think it's probably a good chance to, I guess, just acknowledge the fact that once again, Niamh has somehow fucked up her mic stand and she's hoping it's going to last the entire podcast.
No, it might be fine.
Not.
It looks like abstract art.
I look because I've started checking on you because this has become such a thing. For somehow, after 110 episodes of the podcast, Niamh has started fucking up her mic stand. And I don't know how that happens, but it's so constant. No, Bryan, don't.
Yeah.
No, Bryan.
These are from my own records.
No, they will never be.
No, those are going to make it online.
What I do is I wait 2 years and
Bryan's taking photos.
Yeah.
I take photos, and then what I do is I wait 2 years and I go, can I put this on the Patreon? And you guys are like, yeah, I look younger in it. it's past the clearance.
Well, that was a bad side-on photo where I'm like making a face.
You looked a bit like Herman in it.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of the most dominant forces in sports entertainment. To my left, he's back from his recent scandal. It's the donkey.
They'll never know what I did.
It's Bryan.
Hi.
And to my right, with the burning rage of 1,000 exploding suns, it's the Inferno.
Hello.
It's Niamh.
I'm very enraged.
We kind of we need to do some work on your character, Niamh.
Yeah, I know.
Because I remember you came to me, you were wearing your giant sun costume, and you pitched me the character that you were going to be just like always furious. But the problem then is you start giving your promos and you're kind of very civil.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's maybe something not connecting there.
You just stand there and talk very monotone, and you need to have a bit of a bombastic disposition.
Yeah.
I'm not very bombastic, I gotta say. But like, maybe I could say something really cutting.
Okay, go for it.
To all the chumps out there, your hair doesn't look very nice today.
Well, Niamh, we don't want to go too far either.
If you're self-conscious about your hair, maybe it sticks up in the morning. It's doing that.
You just need to fight a wrestler with bad hair.
Yeah.
Okay, we can workshop this.
Your hair is shit.
Be like, your outfit looks terrible today. What's going on?
Just awful. You look frumpy and your hair's
Yeah.
bad.
I'd love to see a wrestler do a promo like this. With you always, I'm your host. I'm just resorting to noises now.
Yeah.
It's been 118 episodes, everyone.
It's 114.
14? Yeah, whatever. It's all fucking same. It's all just one. So it's all the same shit, episode after episode. Wow. We don't like the fucking thing. What are we doing?
Talking about media until we have to get to the subject we're trying to avoid, which is the video game part of the video game podcast.
No, we love it. We love it.
Oh god, what a mistake. So Brian,
Yes.
you started watching the Harley Quinn cartoon series.
I did. This is on DC's streaming app that is called DC Universe, and they have some original programming on there, and they have a Harley Quinn animated series aimed at a adult audience. So it's got adult writing, but it's written by clever adults. I was pleasantly surprised by this show. Have you guys checked it out? What do you think?
Yeah, there's like 2 episodes out right now.
Yeah, there's 2.
Yeah, I've watched both episodes. When I first started, I was like, "Oh, this is so edgy! Like, this is so
yeah,
edgy."
I kind of thought this would be something you guys would hate.
Yeah, like, and for a little bit, it was just because it just. Actually, the first opening joke is pretty good. This whole pile of white guys on a yacht.
Yeah, with the big pile of money.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But there was just a lot of cursing straight out of the gate. So I was just like, oh, this might be just edgy for the sake of edgy and have no real substance behind it. But as it kept going, I really enjoyed it, and I love the character designs. I think they look really great.
Yeah, they're clean and they're good, and they're kind of interesting.
They have that DC look to them, like they're somewhere in between like animated Batman and like Young Justice or something like that.
Yeah, you could totally confuse this from like a still from Bruce Timm's series.
Absolutely. I did find it a bit obnoxious, but I warmed to it.
I think the thing you said about the curses, Niamh, kind of got me. Not that I'm a prude or anything. As you guys know, I'm pretty wild. Mm-hmm. But it felt like there was a lot of like fuckity fucking fucks in there, and it wasn't adding anything. And I love a good fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yes.
No, he likes a good fuck.
He loves a good fuck.
Fuckity fuck.
Fuck. Your face is so red. Okay, we all love a good fuck, so.
Oh, last regular podcast of the year, and we're doing it real well.
And then I think a good emphatic swear word can really add a lot to a piece of humor. Can we please
No.
But sometimes it's like it's nearly like, look, we can swear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also thought there were some really hilarious jokes as well. The Calendar Man stuff.
Oh, the Calendar Man stuff is brilliant.
It was amazing.
Yeah, like, to me, it felt like it was very sincere with its storytelling, and it bounces off some of these, outlandish jokes, but there's a genuine heart to it as well.
Yeah.
Especially in the first episode. I remember in the original Bruce Timm Batman animated series from the 90s, there was an episode of that where Harley Quinn breaks up with the Joker and moves in with Poison Ivy. Mm-hmm. And that's what this entire season is about. And that's a fantastic episode that spawned a huge fandom.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
And
I'm in it.
I'm really, really happy to see it being explored further.
Yeah, like it's interesting to have this cartoon in its first episode kind of have more nuance and more conversation about what Harley's relationship with Joker kind of is. It's like done in like the funniest and silliest way possible. She even talks to her past self as a therapist to tell her kind of what a shitty relationship she's in. And it's like stuff like even Suicide Squad wouldn't really touch that. They really like play up the like, we're romantic emo kids, you know, kind of thing going on.
And it's not like a deep dive. It is sincere.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they say it, they put it out there. But yeah, it does have some heart to it.
I liked what you were saying about Batman in the show, John, that everyone in it is like a rewritten version of a pre-existing character except for Batman.
Yeah.
That Batman is just Batman.
Yeah, I think they kind of do the Team 4-Star thing where, like, in Team 4-Star, every character Dragon Ball Z is a really stupid version of themselves, except Vegeta, who's dialed up maybe like 8%, and that's it. And it works, you know? Like, he's just Batman.
He kind of needs to be the straight man for all the crazy that's happening.
It's perfect. Yeah, like, it works.
I really like Commissioner Gordon in it.
Oh, he's so funny.
Like, I usually never have an opinion of Commissioner Gordon, but I just thought that version of Commissioner Gordon was very funny. A lot of the voice actors are from Wet Hot American Summer, so it's that crew. And I think, you know, some of it's written, some of it's improvised, but there's a good balance of both. But they're getting a lot of performances and a lot of funny dialogue out of them.
And like even just like the animation, the combat scenes are pretty well choreographed and look pretty good. There's some really fun Harley specific twists on things. Like she'll break someone's leg and then put a sticker over their mouth to stop them scream. Like just some little touches that's kind of nice to see.
There's a lot of love in the show, I think. And I think the backgrounds are gorgeous.
Yeah, they are.
Fuck me.
It's got really, really nice comping as well. It's got a mixture of like live action effects blended in. So like the penguin, when he was smoking, he had like live action smoke, but it would track along with his movements if he turned left to right. I like that sort of stuff.
I really liked the first episode. I thought the second episode was maybe a bit weaker.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that it's not like, you know, they spent 6 months writing the first episode and now it's like kind of 2 weeks for the second episode. Like I hope the consistency stays up, because if it is, I think it's like a really fresh take on these characters, and that's awesome because Batman has been around for fucking ever, you know, and it's like, it's cool.
It's not afraid to make fun of them. I really did enjoy that they gave Bane the Tom Hardy Bane voice. He was like, I'm Bane.
Some people can't understand him.
Yeah, and they make fun of it, and he was like, I guess you don't hear your own voice.
Yeah, that was really good.
And then the Birds of Prey film is coming out next year in the spring. So yeah, I think there's a lot of Harley Quinn stuff out there, and I'm excited to see it.
She's a super cool character. I've actually been reading one of the most recent Batman comics recently, The Batman Who Laughs.
Whoa.
You guys heard of this?
He has a little chuckle.
Yeah, it's Batman, but like every now and then he cracks a pun. It's very endearing. It's a weird one. It's one of like the kind of more out there Batman stories where basically alternate realities exist and there's these Batmen who have like come in from other worlds, and I think there was like a big battle royale or something. I don't follow up with like Batman continuity, but when like a big one like Court of Owls or Last Laugh or something comes out, I'll like check that out. And it's kind of really stupid, but it also introduces a genuinely really good new villain for Batman. The kind of premise of it, and this is the part of it I kind of hate, is that when you kill the Joker, there's a toxin inside his heart that turns you into the next Joker.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not what I like about that character or why I go to a Batman story. But one of the alternate reality Batmen is the Batman Who Laughs, who's like had this happen to him. So he's basically a cross between Batman and the Joker, and he's actually like quite frightening, you know.
I know, but wouldn't it be so much more interesting if there was an alternate Batman who bought into Joker's kind of just life vision and stuff?
They try and kind of play it out like that as well, because he also comes from an alternate reality where the Joker killed Jim Gordon, and that's what. So like it's kind of half and half. I would honestly much prefer your version of it, but the character's great. Like it's really interesting and kind of seeing how far he's able to push Batman. You know what I mean? And that stuff's really cool. I'm not finished yet. It's pretty good. I think from the hype around it, I was expecting maybe a bit more, but it's like it's still interesting. And I think whenever like introducing a like compelling new villain into any classic superheroes catalog in this day and age, I think is like a really impressive feat, and they did that. So it's pretty cool. Bryan.
Yes. Again.
Why don't we talk about Mr. Robot?
Mr. Robot.
Season 4.
Season 4. Okay, Mr. Robot is on season 4. It's the final season. They're wrapping up the last couple episodes now. I think when we first started doing this podcast, I spoke about season 1 and I was checking out and I enjoyed it. This is one of these shows where it's like, it's not my favorite show, but I've never missed an episode. And what'll happen is I'll start off a new season and I'm like, this is kind of dull and I'm not really into it. But by mid-season, something will happen and I'm invested in the story.
I love that with TV shows.
Yeah.
Like every season of The Wire, I was like, can we not just go back to the dock? You know? And then like by the end of the season, I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's so hype. So season 4 is the last season, and I think they were originally meant to write it was that there was going to be 5 seasons, but it seems like the creator of the show and the core cast are kind of they're all ready to move on to other things. Like the main guy, Rami Malek, has an Oscar now, and I think he wants to do more films rather than television.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. And I know the creator of the show has a show on Amazon as well on their streaming service, and you know he's probably moving on to other stuff too. So there was, I think, like a 2.5 year delay between this season and season 3, and season 4 is a very different season, but they're allowing themselves plenty of time to like wrap up a lot of loose ends with characters and narratives. And they've done a very clever thing where I think there's like 1 or 2 episodes left this season, but they have defeated the big bad of the story 3/4 of the way through the season. And so that leaves about 3 or 4 episodes as an epilogue with each of the main characters.
I was actually thinking about like that specific thing recently, and I think I really like it when shows do that, because whenever you get to the last episode and they beat the big bad, I feel like it always feels like kind of anticlimactic or something, because you don't get to see the results. Like you might get a little flash forward, but it's nice when they're able to like explore it.
Yeah, and this show is it's a personal thing for a lot of the characters where like, yeah, like they're fighting mega corporations and the rich, but they have their own personal struggles. And the main character, Elliot, some really, really awful stuff is revealed about his character this season, and it's stuff that had the audience fooled into thinking was another way, but it wasn't at all. And there's one episode in particular, and it was really, really upsetting. But it's one of the best episodes they've done, and I really, really, really like that main character. He's that poor guy. Like he's so well rounded as like just this like little like hacker.
I still have never checked this show out. I must do, because you always sound pretty high on it.
He's such a great main character.
Yeah.
That poor dude.
I really like when
him.
Like media is able to walk the line with a character where like you're rooting for them, but they're pieces of shit.
Yeah, but like this guy, I wouldn't be friends with him. He's like he's useless. But like,
you're friends with me, Niamh.
Oh, he's really useless.
Yeah, he's really, really unreliable. He's the most unreliable narrator, but like he's so unreliable even to himself to a point. It's really, really interesting how they do the character. I'm just really, really glad the show exists.
Cool. I'm really happy you're enjoying it. I guess the way you're talking, it's probably a real different thing. I've been watching a bunch of Vinland Saga again recently, and that show's fantastic. There's one character in it, Askeladd, who's like, he's really charismatic and interesting, and he always has a plan, and it's really fun watching his shit always come together. But like, it's gotten to the stage in the story, and I'm not going to get specific, but he's just such an awful, awful person as well. Like, in a way that's so specific to that era. Like, he'll do cool things and he'll make interesting deals, and it's fun to watch. But you also have to remember that like he's a Viking, and Vikings were literally people who just went and fucking destroyed people's lives without thinking about it. And in the last couple of episodes, there's been so much of that, and I want to like the character, but his overwhelming like monstrosity, I don't know, it's an interesting tension. I have been watching. I'm nearly as of recording this, we're on the second last episode of Watchmen. Have you watched this, Brian?
Oh yeah, I watch it every Monday.
Fuck me. This is a. Did you keep up with this, Niamh?
I'm gonna wait until it all airs and watch it all together.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic TV show.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most interesting TV shows I've watched in a really long time.
It doesn't give a fuck.
No.
I just here's a story, take it or leave it. Fuck you. Hope whatever.
Yeah.
Is there any chance of them dropping the ball in the last episode, or is this just too good?
Maybe, but with everything they've done so far, like even if the last episode was dog shit, I just really respect the show for the swings it took, you know? Like, I feel like at the end of the last episode, Brian, they introduced a big story reveal that really could have gone any which way, because they introduced a story reveal and this episode was going to be entirely about that story reveal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought they nailed it. I thought it was great. I thought some of the...
It was really, really, really captivating.
Yeah, totally. Some of the visual stuff, a little dodgy, but...
It's just TV.
Yeah. But, yeah, I guess I just want to say, like, I think this is a really fantastic show and, like, one of the most... like really kind of different sort of TV shows I've seen in a really long time.
And just the fact that it's a sequel to a pre-existing franchise, it's like a pseudo adaptation, it's recontextualizing a lot of stuff, but it's so its own thing as well. It's so original and fresh while still being, you know, faithful and unfaithful to the source material.
Very, both ways. Like, I think it's very faithful to the spirit of the original.
Yeah.
It fucks with the canon in ways that I really enjoyed, but I could see people getting pissed off.
Yeah.
But yeah, people should really, really watch this show. And I saw it's also doing super well in the ratings.
Good.
Because there was this story going around that, like, nobody was watching it. And all these people were like, who's watching The Watchmen? Nobody. It got like 1.2 million viewers last night.
If it's on HBO, it's going to do fine.
Yeah. So it's a cool show. People should check it out. Brian, you saw Knives Out.
Yeah, I saw. I keep seeing these things. Okay, Knives
these
Out.
Movies.
These things. Did you see Knives Out yet, Niamh?
Nope.
I highly recommend it. I really, really enjoy this film. Without saying anything too much about it, it is a normal film made by Hollywood in which, like, the actors are showing up on a set and reading the dialogue and performing. And I thought Hollywood stopped making these kinds of movies where, you know, it's not part of some big giant, like, franchise thing. This is a real movie.
It's not based on anything. It's not part of a universe. It's not an adaptation. It's just its own thing.
Yeah. And if you've seen the poster of Knives Out, that's the film. Like, it's just a bunch of actors and they all get to do a bit in the movie. And it's a good whodunit. I like the who. I like the dunit.
Is it a murder mystery then?
Oh yeah.
It is. It is
a murder
They
mystery.
kind of do a weird thing where they kind of reveal the murderer quite early on.
But it's the why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The motive is very interesting.
Yeah, and the why gets very, in a way, we're just talking gibberish now. In a way, the what?
Yeah.
It's fun.
I
I also watched it as well. I liked it. I think I maybe was hoping it would have a little more bite, but it's like very, very Hollywood. You know, that kind of way.
It's definitely a movie you could watch, like, with any relative of your family. Like, grandma would like this movie.
Yeah, and I think the trailer I saw of it was like really kind of stylistic and stuff, and that made me think it was going to be like maybe a little bit of a different direction, but it was still enjoyable, and most of the cast are great.
It's shot very normally.
Yeah, because the sets are beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of wishing they would have played around more, like, you know, just more of that kind of stuff.
I really like the sets, the costumes, the character designs themselves.
Is it set in a big mansion or something?
Oh yeah. And like the murder victim is a murder mystery novel writer.
Oh,
and he's like
fun.
And like he's like the patriarch of the family. He's like the grandpa.
Yeah.
And he has like his he's got his children, then he's got his
awful
grandchildren.
children.
And then he has his nurse, and his nurse is the main character, so it's done from her perspective. She's the hologram girlfriend from Blade Runner 2049. What's her name? Ana de Armas.
She was great.
And she's amazing.
Really, really good.
Because, like, she's an incredibly beautiful person, and I think she's in the new James Bond movie that's coming out next year, and like in Blade Runner she's like a giant pink naked girl, but in this she's just wearing like clothes, like normal clothes.
Whoa, weird.
and she's just like very naturally attractive, and she just looks brilliant.
Yeah, I know what he means. It's like she's
stunning.
Yeah.
And she's just like, and I really, really like her like weakness is very funny, and she's just a great character.
Did they leave the house? I'm trying to get the kind of idea of what goes on.
I'd say 80% of the film's in the house.
Okay.
And it's got a fractured narrative, like it's time hops all over the place.
When I saw kind of some of the screenshots from this, it looked a little like Ready or Not, that movie I was talking about. Where
I watched that the other week. It's very similar.
Okay.
It's got some of the same vibes.
I must download that. From Netflix, because of the new feature they introduced. Only thing I think I maybe didn't like about the movie is I thought Daniel Craig was really bad in it.
He's a cartoon character.
Yeah, I was saying this to Bryan, but a while ago I was listening to, I think, Soul Brother 83's series on like voice acting, just because I really like that guy's stuff. And he has this bit where he's talking about like voice acting demo tapes, and he's like, do not, I repeat, do not do a Southern gentleman accent for your demo reel. Whatever it is about white guys, they all want to do Southern gentleman accents. This is Daniel Craig doing that.
Oh no. Why hire an English guy to do such a specific
I think he wanted to test himself, and unfortunately it was a failure.
This is the second time he's done a Southern accent, because he's in that Steven Soderbergh redneck heist movie,
Cowboys and Aliens.
And Logan Lucky, or Lucky Logan.
I remember like every 2 years that I've seen that movie.
Yeah,
I saw that movie in the cinema, and there was nobody there.
Same.
It's one of those movies.
Has Daniel Craig, other than Bond, which is a very specific type of character, been in anything good where he was good?
I liked him in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah.
yeah. But that's kind of a Bond character in and of itself, nearly.
God, I love that movie so much.
That's a good movie.
I started wearing boots because of that movie.
I think that's
not even joking.
I think that's one of the best films of the decade.
Yeah, it's so beautifully shot. It's so sinister.
It's badass.
I had seen the original ones,
the Swedish films,
beforehand. So when I saw it, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, like because they're so close.
Shot for shot,
I could see that, all right. Like I went in barely knowing what it was at all. I did take my uncle to see it, and my uncle, like, he's a man who lives a simple life down on a house in Cork.
Oh,
and let me tell you, yeah,
my man.
Oh, guys, what say you move into our strategy talk? I feel like we've hit the strategy talk pretty quick this episode.
Yeah, sorry. Here's the games part.
How quick was that?
I didn't watch anything really.
No, me neither.
28 minutes.
28 minutes. Man, I bet we could have this whole thing wrapped up in 45 minutes if we really just bomb through it. So let's start here. Niamh, Plague Tale Innocence, good?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, Pathologic 2 is fine. Bryan, you played Celeste.
I did, yeah, great game.
Cool. Okay, that's enough of that. And Quicktime Events, Sony stole something, Resident Evil 3 remake. No emails this episode, sorry, we just didn't get any. No Patreon shoutouts. Loot drop. I saw a video essay on YouTube. Did you guys see it?
Oh, Manny.
Cool. You can go find them shows. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, and that's another episode.
Yeah.
In the bag.
Yeah. I like this. We could do anything this evening. Do you guys want to go play some basketball?
Oh yeah.
It's like there's like a storm outside. You want to do storm basketball? Where like you're just dribbling on the spot because the wind is just like you're on a treadmill.
I'd love to be a superhero called Storm Basketball.
What would your power be?
When it's a storm outside, I can shoot basketballs out of my hands. I'm not very useful.
Like you make them? Does it have the Spalding logo on them?
Nobody knows how it works. I just bam, like Iron Man's hand beams except a basketball.
People know how they work. That's his suit.
Yeah.
It's probably that there's a portal in your hand that's connected to a basketball factory.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're losing our quota every time it's stormy. like you know how for ages with Cyclops and X-Men they were like, what's his power? And it's like an internet, it's like from another dimension, isn't it? The ray.
Yeah.
It's a concussive blast. It's force.
Is it not like it? Is it not? I always heard that it was like a portal inside his eyes, and like, it is a concussive force, but that like rays shoot from the alternate. Oh, we're gonna get so many emails.
Thank you, Professor.
But yeah, I like the idea of the international basketball, because at one point you could just cut to like a basketball factory, and someone's like, Johnson, your count's low again, and he goes, I don't know what's happening. I beat the Resident Evil 2 remake,
and
you know, I actually kind of ended up coming around on it.
I don't believe you.
I did. No, I legit did.
Okay.
I don't love it, but like I did end up more up on it than I was beforehand. I think at some point I kind of just, it clicked like, oh, this is like a dumb action movie.
Yeah.
And that's
like, it looks great at the end. The whole set design of that lab is ridiculous.
I actually really liked the lab.
The lab was fun. Those flower people were pretty scary.
I love fighting them though, because it's like you can. I love that you can see like the targets on them, and their sound design is all crunchy and weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think I enjoyed fighting them more because I felt like I knew what I never felt like I was getting better at taking down the zombies, at least once I learned to shoot off their legs, you know. But these things I liked. I thought those giant slime monsters were pretty horrific. And I think it's a personal thing, but like when Mr. X dies in that game, that made it much more playable to me, because I fucking hated him.
I really liked him.
Oh, I love Mr. X.
Yeah, I love Mr. X.
I can totally understand why someone would, and like the reason I don't like him is because I'm so bad at navigating spaces, and so when you throw him into the mix, I just get very frustrated.
There's just so many good moments for me when I would open the door and you just see his face, and the animation's so great that he would nearly have a moment of, oh, like you both stop and you're just like, oh, and you just turn and run.
I really love how he'll kind of roll his arms along the walls.
Oh yes.
And how he'll kind of like grab around the like door frame.
Yeah,
as he
I like it
goes
when he's
through.
like there's nothing I would fault about the production of this game.
Yeah, I really, really like the new engine Capcom are working with.
Yeah. And I loved the last boss fight as well. I liked when Claire like jumps down onto the lift and she's like, let's do this. Like I was like, yeah, cool. Still definitely like don't love the game. I think its tone is kind of all over the place.
I think it could have done with a bit more cheese. Like it could have done with a big dump of cheese.
I think it could have done
dump cheese off.
I think it could have done with better cheese, because like there are some dialogue bits and I just buried my head in my hands, especially when Claire's like, here you go, Cheryl, it's my lucky jacket. And then later on Sherry's like, I guess this jacket is lucky. And it's like, fuck off.
Have you never spoken to a child? She was trying to comfort her. Here's a jacket.
Okay, you don't need to make the dialogue terrible to get that across.
Like, I don't know how else you would like express that.
Like this, hey little shit.
Here's my jacket, and just throw it.
Are you telling me that wouldn't be better?
Well, yeah, okay.
But a lot of the writing and just the tonal stuff of that game didn't really click with me at all. I didn't like Claire, I didn't like Leon, I didn't like anyone.
Oh, I love everyone in that game.
Yeah, I love Claire.
They all suck.
Leon's great as well.
No, he's a little piss baby.
Yeah, that's his point.
He's just a rookie cop. It's
but
his
he's
first
such
day.
a rookie, and like everything's going to shit. There's zombies everywhere. Mr. X is pulling people through walls, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know if we can break protocol." And it's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, that is actually pretty good.
It's like, I like how much of a wiener he is.
Yeah,
and contrast that with Claire's non-wieneriness.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I have like gone from a place where like I actively disliked it to a place where I'm like, yeah, it's pretty okay.
Did you play both campaigns or just
hell no, and I won't.
I was so happy to play the second campaign because I just wanted to like try different things.
Yeah. I think I think the puzzle box nature of the game combined with Mr. X was like a real personal thing that I wouldn't that just is like, it jams up my radar in a way that made it very hard to enjoy that section of the game. I get why you guys like it.
No, that's fair. Like, as someone who's played a fair amount of puzzle games this year, you either click with them or you don't.
Bryan,
Yeah,
you played Celeste.
I did. I got it in the sales, and I'm really, really, really enjoying it. I'm into the third area of the game, which is the haunted hotel, and that bit is fantastic.
That's the part of the game where like it really started to click with me, and I really started to enjoy it.
Yeah, because like the first two areas, I was like, okay, this is just like a very good Newgrounds game or something. You know, it just feels like a precision platformer. But then, like, you get a story in the third area with the haunted hotel and the manager, and all of a sudden you've got puzzles involved where you're finding keys, and it really, really opened up for me then. Yeah,
and I think that momentum doesn't stop. Like, it keeps opening up and introducing new mechanics.
That's great. Yeah, and the music improved like drastically as well.
Yeah, Niamh, you touched Celeste once, didn't you?
Yeah, it's not. Thanks, Bryan.
Thanks, John.
It's not my thing at all.
That's okay.
Like, I think the haunted house area, I liked it because I was like, ooh, spooky. But like after that, I was just like, this is not for me. I'm not into precision platforming.
It's really, I suck at this game.
Oh, yeah. I died so many times.
I really, really like the message where it's like, you've died this many times, but you know, you're going to improve each time. And you're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, I like the way the game is like, it's okay, you're doing great.
I'm not though.
but like that's everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I really like that each area is the size of a screen. It's never like you're scrolling left or right or up and down. It's always like you're locked into a space while platforming, which is like what the original Donkey Kong game on the Game Boy was like.
Yeah.
So I really like that sensation, that kind of throwback to it.
Yeah. Definitely, like, that's a game, the further I get away from it, the fonder of it I am.
Yeah.
You know, because you know the way sometimes you think you love a game and then it kind of fades over time. I still think that's a cool game. Hey, I'm wearing a Celeste t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On brand.
On brand. Bryan, glad to hear you're enjoying it. Guys, I've been playing Pathologic 2.
Oh, yeah?
Watch that H-bomb video.
Oh, yeah. All 2 hours of it. And it's interesting because I think if I hadn't watched that video, the chances of me bouncing off that game would have been so high. I think because like, even from the outset, you don't know what kind of game that is. Like, for all you know, that's like a 2-hour horror game. And then you start to realize it's actually this like mini open world game that takes place in this village where this like virus is taking over. And the mechanics of it are so obtuse and abstract. But because I'd watched this 2-hour video on it, I knew exactly what I was doing straight away. And I kind of got to the meat of it very quickly, and I found it was something I really enjoyed. It is a misery simulator. It is a game about starving and being hated and having to stay off the main streets because crowds of people will literally punch you to death. But it's fascinating as well. It's really cool, and like if you saw the H-bomb video, that's all on Pathologic 1. This is Pathologic 2, and the
which came out this year, did it?
Yeah.
It just came out.
Yep. I think so.
I think it came out at like maybe around May.
Okay, but
Yeah.
like it's fairly recent.
But it's actually quite beautiful in some ways. Like, maybe not the environments as much as like the modeling on some of the people. Walks this really lovely middle line between like beautifully textured models and still kind of cartoonish, you know what I mean? And I'm really enjoying it. I wish I had found it earlier in the year. I think maybe if I had found it at a time where I had a little less going on, this really could have been something I'd sink my teeth pretty heavily into. I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to really put into it before Game of the Year. In fact, I know I won't, but it's been cool discovering it. And if you're interested in the game, I'd really watch the H-bomb video. If you want to go in fresh, like if you like the idea of survival-based misery simulators where you're trying to figure out the mystery of this weird fucked up town, yeah, sure, go in fresh. And like if you're okay with like teasing out all the weird little gameplay mechanics yourself, because it really tells you nothing, like absolutely nothing. then yeah, you'll have a blast with this game. But if you're on the edge and if you've seen that H-Bomb video, check this out. It's really interesting and really cool. Definitely one of like the freshest feeling games I've played in a long time. Bryan,
Yeah.
you played the Super Mario Maker 2 DLC.
Yeah, they announced DLC earlier this month, and the big one is you can pick up the Master Sword and you play as Link, and the platforming is scaled back all of a sudden, and now you have a range of different weapons. You have a bow and arrow, and you have
Oh, cool.
a sword, and so
It's like Zelda 2.
yeah, so it's like Zelda 2, but what that's brought is that people are designing levels in completely different ways, where they're more puzzle based and they're more, you see something on the screen and you don't know how to reach it. And it's been about a week since the DLC came out, so it came out and then I waited a couple of days because like I'm not making any levels, but I want to see what the others are going to
You
make.
never make levels.
I will never make a Mario Maker level. I just, why?
You seem kind of morally opposed to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, like I'm not. Like I paid money for this game. Like Nintendo should make their own damn levels, or those fools should. I'll play them. Some of the levels are fucking amazing.
If someone made you a level specifically for you, would you play it?
Yeah,
If they email the code into askletsfighterboss@gmail.com.
I absolutely. If you want to send me your 12-digit code for your Mario Maker 2 level, hook me up. I'll try my best to beat it. I hope it's a good one.
I'd also encourage Bryan's specific levels, and I'll leave that up to you as to what that means.
Like a troll level. Yeah, I still play Mario Maker 2 maybe for like half an hour every week, just because they keep reshuffling the most popular courses, and so it's not like a thing where like the good levels stagnate at the top. They'll change it out so there's a new batch every week, and you're always given very funny improvements.
Can you save your favorites? Like if you have a favorite level?
Yeah,
Cool.
I've got that almost full now. So I hope they add another patch in where you can increase the library for your favorites to play them offline. Like the game isn't very good when you're not playing online. Like it does have a full single player, but I've finished that completely. But the online is very, very much like at like full capacity right now.
It's really interesting that they like reinvigorated it like that.
Yeah,
That's a weird, interesting thing.
yeah, because it's been about 6 months since it came out. So
Oh, I forgot that was this year.
yeah,
Yeah. Weird. Cool. Guys, I've been playing Gato Roboto.
oh yeah,
So Bryan, I played this because you really wanted me to take a look at this.
yeah, it's a cool game.
It's a little game. It's a Metroid-like. You're a cat. You're in a space station. You have to climb in and out of your suit to fix all the shit going wrong with the space station and get out of there. Your owner is trapped in a spaceship dying. This is a really good game.
Are you attempting to save your owner or just get safe?
Save the owner.
Okay.
And he's like communicating with you. And
He really, really, really likes Kiki the cat.
yeah.
And Kiki the cat likes her owner.
And it's really funny, like all the bosses for me so far have been mice who have also found their own suits, and you kill them and like they'll just say like squeak squeak and stuff like that, but then when you kill them they're like, oh no. And then your owner just radio goes and goes, what? And it's cute, but like it's really satisfying to play as well. Like it feels great.
It's a very clever yet goofy game.
Yeah, and like there's a real clunkiness to moving around in your suit. Like the sound design's fantastic. I kind of am at the point with the game where I think I have 3 things to do,
Yep,
and I've done 2 of them, and I feel like, is that the game then?
pretty much. It's only like it takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours to beat.
Yeah, and I think I'm okay with that because where I'm at, like I'm really enjoying it, but like I'm like, okay,
Have you unlocked more color palettes?
yeah, loads.
Yeah, like
I still haven't unlocked Matrix.
the Matrix color palette's my favorite because
Yeah.
like the game is in black and white like Minish.
Yeah, I just think the black and white palette's actually beautiful.
It's
Like
just-
I love it.
It's sharp, it's crisp.
Yeah, it looks great. But really cool game, not expensive at all. I think it's $8 on the Switch. People should check it out. Niamh, you finished A Plague Tale: Innocence.
I sure did.
I always get that name wrong.
I played this when it first came out a while ago, and I dropped it. I didn't love the start of it. It kind of has a slow start. And this is the kind of medieval action adventure puzzler where you play as a little French girl called Amicia and her brother Hugo, and you use Amicia's slingshot to make your way through a rat-filled, plague-infested world.
These are bad rats.
Those rats are so bad. At the start, I wasn't that into it because it was one of those things where you kind of had to, you're two kids and you had to stealth your way away from adults. And this is before the rats really were a big part of the gameplay. And it was full of those things where you're like, she could hop that wall. Like, you know, kind of silly conceits.
Sure.
That kind of took you out of it. That evaporates after that kind of first bit, and it still stays linear, but you get so much for your slingshot, and there's so much to do with the rats. And when I say rats, there's hundreds of rats.
And they're like pouring over each other.
Yeah,
If
like
you don't
this
think
is...
that rats sound like a compelling evil force,
Oh my god.
you should look up footage of this
You
game.
need to see a video of this. Like, if Amicia gets eaten by the rats, they take her ankles out in seconds and just overrun her and eat her like piranha. Like, it's gross. It's just... It turns into a horror game in a lot of ways, and Amicia gets different ammo for her sling. The rats don't like fire, so you get an ammo that will create fires, so you can light lanterns to get yourself through them, and you're kind of rerouting the rats. But you kind of have to start doing evil things as well. Like, there's 2 guards in the room. You need to get past all these rats. The rats will take a while to eat through the guards. So if I reroute the rats into where they are, they'll have a munch while I move through.
Have a munch.
They'll have a horrible munch. And then when the rats like move away, like the bodies are just like these skeletal remains, and it's just like, it's harsh. And Amicia is young. I think she's around maybe 15. And her brother Hugo's younger, maybe 7 or something. She has to hold him by the hand and walk over the corpses of like warriors, and like they're standing on them, and Hugo will say stuff like, "Are we hurting them?" And she's like, "No, it's okay."
That's so
cool.
It's really grim, and like you then start getting more stuff for your sling. Like, you get a kind of sulfurous powder, so you'll start coming up against guards and they'll wear helmets, and Amicia can use her sling to fight the guards, but she needs to get the helmet off first, so she needs to throw the sulfur at them to make them itch to take off the helmet, and then she clocks them on the head with a stone and kills them.
How frequent are like combat encounters like that?
More frequent than not, to be honest. Amicia starts killing. It's a bit Tomb Raider-esque, to be honest. Like, she turns
into a machine.
She kind of turns into a machine in the service of saving her little brother. But unlike Tomb Raider, where it kind of like Lara has all of like 5 seconds of going, "Oh no, I'm a murderer," and then she's just like, "But artifacts." Amicia's like murder keeps kind of catching up with her, and towards the end there's a lot of scenes where she has to go through tunnels of the men she's killed, and all their corpses are making a corpse tunnel.
Fuck.
Yeah, like it's dark and it's interesting. You meet other characters who have different skills. You meet a thief called Melly, and she can unlock doors for you. So you go through areas with her, and you can kind of direct her to unlock things. You meet a blacksmith called Roderick, and he's really big and beefy, so he can take out armored knights for you. And the story progresses, and it gets infinitely more interesting. And it's about like this Archbishop of the Inquisition wanting to kind of live a longer life and use the blood of your brother. It gets really Resident Evil-y in a really unexpected way.
Sounds like this is kind of, I could be wrong, maybe like teetering on the edge of survival horror without ever being it.
Yeah, in the same way that Tomb Raider sometimes does, like the way she'll like go through like a whole pile of like a burial chamber, and like there's a whole pile of guts and there's stuff. Like, Amicia is a child who needs to knock down bodies of men. Like, a man committed suicide in a house, and she has to knock his body to the floor for the rats to eat for her to get by while his wife is crying in another room about it.
Fuck.
But then it has this heart to it as well, where it's this little found family of orphans trying to survive this world where every single adult is a danger. And there's such a danger that if you get caught, you get one-shotted. Like, they'll stab a knife through your little brother, through you, through every child in it. And like, it's just like this cruel and unfeeling world that they kind of find each other in, and they have the kind of still the optimism of children. And in a really amazing way, the voice acting is so good in this and sells all these characters, because like that could have just fucked this game so much if those kids were annoying, but they're not. They're endearing and nice and very human feeling. The sound design, fantastic. It's this really like hysterical strings and violins with like time to lightning flashes, and the lightning will make the rats go in and hide, so you have to run, and it has this like really stark string noises. And the environments are beautiful. You go through, I'd say, 20 different locations.
Wow.
Maybe more, and they're all beautifully rendered, and you are moving through them fast, and like there's so much in there. Like, it's so dense and beautiful, and the lighting's beautiful.
So it's not like a muddy wooden village for the whole game.
No, so many different locations, like multiple locations. There is a library.
Big team that made it either, isn't it?
No, it's a really small team.
I think this might be in their first game.
Yeah. And one of the locations is like a grand library that has a really Bloodborne feel to it. Like, some of them are farmlands, there's small towns, there's just a field of bodies. Like, there's a lot in it, and unexpectedly so, because the start of it I just did not click with me.
I love that feeling coming around on a game.
Runs perfect, had no problems with it. Really liked it. Give it a try if that's anyone's cup of tea.
Was that out this year?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. It's a good sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to play some of the music, like maybe here.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to cut and listen to music?
No,
It's
happening right now.
It's happening right now.
And she's speaking.
Okay.
Can't you hear it, John?
Yep, I can hear the music. The rats of Paris. Is it like that?
Yeah, pretty
The
much.
rats are gonna get you.
Be careful, little boy and girl.
They've got a terrible attitude.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah.
You've been playing Catherine full body.
Oh no! Here we go.
Oh, really? Because I spoke to you before. I think you were. It was like, I think you were like, I played through the first 2 hours and it's really good. And I was like, yeah, the first 2 hours of Catherine is really good.
Yeah, they are. So, you know the way we were just talking there about like not enjoying a game at the start and then coming around to it? I guess Catherine Full Body is kind of like the opposite, where you just fall off that thing. Wow. How about I just say the things I like about it?
No.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Because
Say the things you like first, since that's at the start, and then tell us what you don't like.
okay.
But we're not meant to do the shit sandwich anymore. Did you hear with that? Like, we're just not meant to do that anymore.
What's a shit sandwich?
Shit sandwich is when
We start off something nice.
positive, negative, positive.
Like what? Like, and I'm going to bookend it with something redeeming at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Resident Evil 2. The Resident Evil 2 remake is an absolutely stunning looking game. It's a shame that they fucking ruined all the gameplay that made Resident Evil good, but the end credit sequence is really nice.
I feel like we more do open face sandwiches where we say like a load of nice things first, and then we kind of shit all over
Yeah,
it.
it's like a really, really shitty pizza.
Yeah.
With like
Shit
the topping is spilled over.
The old let's fight a boss shit pizza.
It's like you could pick around the nice bits,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't eat that big awful bit in the middle.
No. Brian, tell us about the nice and big awful bits of Catherine Full Body.
Okay, I always wanted to play this game, and I never played it on the PlayStation 3.
You're a big Persona guy.
Yeah, I really, really like games made by Atlas, and I was very intrigued by the art direction and ambition of the game in terms of like its originality.
Yeah.
And I think as a puzzle game, it is a very good puzzle game.
Yeah, it's competent.
Yeah,
Its rules are interesting.
and I clicked with the puzzles, and I think if you click with a puzzle game, it's great. I think if you don't, like for example, like
And these are the puzzles that are taking place in the nightmare section of the game.
yeah, and you're moving like I guess a big giant Rubik's cube that you're scaling up, and you're just pushing blocks around.
But it's not always like that.
No, like it's got certain conditions on some of them, and like as someone who likes Tetris but doesn't like Puyo Puyo, I never click with Puyo Puyo, but I click with the puzzle aspect of Catherine. And you were saying to me that there's a very niche community that are into the competitive scene of
big time apparently the tournaments are so fucking hype for it,
for Catherine.
yeah.
As someone who enjoys rum, there's a lot of trivia about rum. I like that.
Yeah, there is. Those are my favorite parts.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy that.
Rum the alcohol?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because every night they're at the
Bryan,
Spring Sheep Bar.
give people a little rundown of what the fuck is happening in this game.
You play as a man called Vincent. You're introduced to him by the narrator as Vincent is a kind man. Sure.
Okay.
And then every night when you go to sleep, you're plagued by nightmares, and this is the puzzle solving bit. And this bit has the most gameplay in it. Then you wake up the next morning and you go about your day. He has a job. I don't know what it is. They've never really gone into it.
I'm gonna say graphic designer
or a programmer or something. But whenever they show him at work, he's in the bathroom cubicle talking to his friend. That then he also sees at the bar after work. And this is the other part that has gameplay, in that sometimes your love interests, which is Catherine with a K, Catherine with a C, and a new character, Rin, whom I liked Rin, text you, and you text back with a bunch of like selections of phrases. And it's supposed to be like a visual novel harem game where it's like, I don't know which one you're going to end up with, bro. And you seem to be able to influence the narrative. I think there's a bunch of new endings in this version.
Yeah, and the Rin wasn't in the previous one.
Yeah.
So it was Catherine with the C or K, and that was it.
There's like 20 different endings to this. And like, I don't know how I'm influencing it. Like, there's polls and stuff that you like answer, but
I think the poll, in the original, it was basically a good or chaos or order, very Persona, you know, or Shin Megami Tensei even.
There's a lot of I'm holding the controller and I'm not pressing any buttons because the dialogue just auto plays. I do appreciate that the game is fully voice acted.
Voice acting is good.
Yeah, no, the voice acting is great, and it's a very simple game, and there's only a couple of like locations, and it's very restricted in that, but it uses its restrictions kind of to its advantage in terms of its visuals.
Yeah.
The story is absolute dog shit. It is. It's terrible. I really, really dislike the main character. You know the way I was talking about like how I like good male characters? This is just the worst. I don't like playing as Vincent. I don't give a shit about him. He's supposed to be like this great guy and everyone really, really likes him. I don't fucking get it. I think anyone who is associated with Vincent should get him out of their lives. He's lame. And you know when you're playing a video game and the main character is just the lamest fucking person ever, and you have to like, and you're in charge of keeping them alive.
Yeah, it just Resident Evil 2.
That's what this game is. I think this game was made by like drunk otakus who just don't understand women
or relationships
or
like
anything.
Women are portrayed as weird alien creatures in this game.
Yeah.
It's just strange that an entire game's premise would be like, are you gonna cheat?
Yeah,
I think you could make something interesting out of that if you had the writing chops to like, you know, handle, you know, just like the long-term pressures and like this. So like I think that's cool. And like this game doesn't cash in on it at all.
No, and like I guess the main story is that he's on the cusp of a kind of a long-term relationship with one woman, and this other woman kind of shows up one night at the bar, and he doesn't have any recollection of her, but she shows up in his bed every morning.
Yeah.
And then there's the new character Rin, who is the next door neighbor, and she plays the piano in his dreams because she can exist in the dream world as well. And her storyline's like,
is Rin likable?
She's extremely
okay, because I think both the Catherines in the original game suck. Like, they're neither, like, I didn't want to know either of them.
Okay. Rin is a lovely person.
Good.
And Rin has a lovely apartment, because the main guy Vincent's apartment is the worst. But Rin has a bunch of cool stuff, and I like that. The only kind of like masculine thing I like about this game is that it's affecting a large group of men in your area that are all part of this big giant collective nightmare. And when they're in the nightmare world, they're talking about what's chasing them, and they all have their like own fears, and it's their manifestation. And I think it's interesting that they're all these anonymous sheep, and they're able to openly talk about like what's bothering them. Whereas when you're out in the day-to-day talking to the male characters, they're complete shut-ins about what's getting to them. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that isn't really explored beyond what I just said there.
Yeah. No, like that's it. Like,
yeah,
I feel like Atlas games do that a lot. Is like sometimes they'll touch just on a really interesting concept or a really interesting kind of conversation, and then they just won't go there
constantly. Like Persona 3, 4, and 5. All of them do that.
Yeah. I got this game for like 20 quid. They were charging like 60 quid for this game. It's basically like a Vita game. Like, it's not...
I paid full price for it when it came out, but that was on 360.
Yeah. But like this remake, you know, like I guess it's like a newer version. It's got a new story and everything. But they were charging like full price for this thing, and like I paid 20, and I'm like, that's way too much for this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat it just because like I'll watch bad movies. I like the game is completely playable.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the story of this game. I don't like how it's handling stuff. I think it's a really offensive game.
Yeah.
As I'm not part of any marginalized community, but I am shocked at some of the stuff in this game.
Is it stuff to do with Rin, or is it other stuff?
Just general, it sounds like.
In general.
Yeah, okay.
I don't identify with anyone in it, and like the character I'm meant to identify with, I reject completely. And I wouldn't recommend this game to anyone. But I'm also I've satisfied that morbid curiosity I had with it.
But that first 2 hours, right?
No, yeah. Like it has an interesting one sentence premise.
Yeah, I would have loved to love Catherine. You know, I think it's a thing where you were saying where it's like touches off a bunch of really interesting points. I think like the idea of examining the pressures of a long-term relationship through a video game. Holy shit, there's so much you could do there. You know, like male repression and the inability to talk about emotion except in this weird anonymous space. Ton of shit you could talk about there, like so much. And the game does none of it, you know?
No.
And even the game's big hooks, like I think, you know, the first time you see a boss character and it's like this horrible manifestation of Vincent's fears, that's so cool. And then they start like repeating bosses and it just falls through.
Yeah, like he has a fear of becoming a dad, but I've been chased by the baby twice.
I think one of the times it has a chainsaw or something.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I'm scared of having a child, but I'm also scared that it will have the innate ability to wield power tools.
Yeah. I think it looks great as well. The music isn't very good though. I don't like the music in this game. But there's a jukebox in which you can play the Persona 5 soundtrack, so I usually put that on instead.
Oh, they added the Persona 5 soundtrack.
Oh yeah, and they have a plush of Morgana in the bar, and yeah, like there's a couple of Easter eggs.
Oh, that's cool. Interesting. I was curious to see what you made of that one.
Yeah,
that was definitely a shit sandwich.
That was definitely a shit sandwich.
Yeah, do not play this game.
Guys, I played more Disco Elysium.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, this in a lot of ways, this is a throwback to old point-and-click adventures, and it's because for a while I was starting to feel like, wow, this is a completely new thing, and then I realized it's actually not. Like, it is a point-and-click adventure, you know, but I think the things it adds are really super interesting. So the whole game nearly is conversations. I got in one fight, and that's because I really, really forced it, and I felt like it was a fight I was meant to lose. And like the fight was like just selecting what you were gonna do. So like punch the guy in the throat, do a spin kick, all this kind of stuff, you know. And I just save scummed it until I won the fight because I wanted to see all the fighting animations. But I had like a 7% chance of actually winning the fight.
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you wake up in a hotel room. You're this absolute train wreck of a detective. You suck. You go downstairs, it's funny, and like you go and you try and figure out, like, you don't even know you're a detective. You find that out from other people who tell you what you're doing, and like it turns out you just after waking up from like an insane just blackout drunkenness, and someone's like, yeah, you ripped you're like in this hotel, and it's like, yeah, you ripped the ornament bird from the wall, and like, you know, you have loads of different answers, and you can be like, oh, I'm so sorry I did that, or it's like, I don't think that sounds like me, or you can be like, one of them was just fucking bird.
Yeah.
It's really funny. The writing in it is really good, and the way situations can play out is really different. And one thing I really love about it is you have all these, like, I guess I'm going to call them abilities, but I don't really know how to describe them because I've never really experienced this before in a game. So one of them would be called Spirit the Corpse, or like Spirit of the Corpse, which is when it's CORPS, as in police corpse. And what that is, it's like you're a good cop. And so if you start to level up your Spirit the Corpse, what happens is you'll be talking to someone, and the entire time the game's going to be rolling all these little checks. And if your points in something is particularly high, you'll have a better chance of passing. So your Spirit the Corpse is going to be like, you're a good police officer. So you'll notice something about like the situation. You'll be like, oh, this is like that old case from back then, or, you know, the suspect is wearing gloves, and that might just tell you a little bit more about how to approach the situation, or it might unlock like new dialogue options entirely. And the higher your stats are and then like you have a separate pair of stats, which is like, you know, your intelligence, charisma, endurance, all this kind of stuff. And the game is constantly rolling these checks to see how you're going to do. I mentioned Spirit the Corpse. There's like 20 of those factors, and they're all shooting at once constantly. It's like your volition, your sneakiness. My favorite one is called Inland Empire, and that's basically...
I love that film.
Yeah, it's basically your David Lynch stat. So your necktie might start talking to you and telling you, hey, there's something suspicious about this guy.
Okay.
And it's funny and it's good, you know.
How do you level up? Like, at the start, are you given like points to just pour into different stats?
Yes. You can select from like a preset, or you can make your own.
Okay.
I think, from what I understand, the more you listen to your like one particular stat, like if I listen to my like volition, which is like confidence and standing your ground, I think my character gets more volistic over the course of the game. But then what can happen is like you can nearly go too far that direction. So if you're listening to Inland Empire too much, you'll basically turn into a crazy version of Dale Cooper.
Oh.
And you'll just start like dancing.
Okay,
you know?
so you'll start missing out on kind of obvious things in the front of you, kind of thing.
Not even necessarily, but your approach to situations will get more extreme, and it's like, is that the kind of cop you want to roleplay? And then on top of this, you'll also pick up kind of additional like roles and bonuses based on what's happening in the story. So at one point, I was fucking up so badly. My partner, who's like a great character as well, he's like this kind of minority. It takes place like in a reality very similar to ours, but not our reality. So not countries from Earth, but like drawing from cultures. So my partner is like a minority. I don't really know from where. And he's like super competent, where you're a fucking train wreck, and the dynamic between the two is really funny. But there was one part where basically I fucked up so badly that he took me aside and he was like, you need to get your shit together. And so that unlocks this ability called like shit compression, which is basically your character learning to not be such a fucking awful person. Okay. And so then I unlocked that, and that made my like composure go up a little bit, which means I was able to approach a situation kind of differently. Interesting stuff like that, you know. And what's really cool is whenever I play a game, the last thing I want is to experience a movie through a game. Like, I don't want to experience a story of a movie through cutscenes in between gameplay. It's just not interesting, I don't think. I like it when games tell stories in the way that only games can. You know, like I'm thinking like Devotion, Nier Automata, shits that's really gonna like fuck with it and be like, you couldn't do this in a movie. You know, I think this game pulls that off really beautifully, because there's this one part where I was walking towards a dumpster, and next thing my Inland Empire starts firing off, and it's like, don't look in that dumpster. And then like other parts of other checks start firing as well, and it's basically all my different senses telling me that this dumpster is bad fucking news. But I was too curious, and so I dug around inside the dumpster to see what I could find. And I'm not going to say what's in there. It was cool though, and it said a lot about the character and made you realize, oh, there's some real, this guy's not okay. Like, he's really, really not okay, and it was great. I think I mentioned before on the podcast how like I was worried that some of the use of slurs in the open part of the game kind of put me off and had me concerned, and I'm not really out of that yet. A big part of the game is that like there's like race purists in it, you know what I mean? And if you hang out with race purists too much, it's like there's like a stat thing that like pushes you more in that direction. I actually think that side of things is, from what I've seen, and I'm not the best judge in this kind of stuff, you know, like I'm not a member of a minority group that's going to suffer from this kind of thing, so I could be well wrong. It seems like well handled enough, and a lot of it's offset by like your extremely competent minority partner. And he like, because he'll be like, oh fucking come on, and there's stuff where like if your intelligence is high enough, you'll actually start poking holes in like the people who are super racist, you know, and you always have the option to be like, you're a moron, which is good. I feel like there has been a few instances where like the game has played around with like slurs for like gay people, and you know, part of it's like really like guttural, awful children shouting this stuff at you, but another part of it is like someone just mishears you for a second and it's like a little joke. And I haven't seen any sign that the game is actually gonna like, you know, tackle like bigotry towards gay people in a serious way. And if you're not going to, I would just leave that shit out, because it's not fun and it's not interesting, and it's like, obviously Niamh, you could speak to this way better than I could, but I'm guessing you don't need to be reminded of that if there isn't a bigger point to make.
If I'm gonna spend money on a game, I kind of don't want to see the F word being thrown around. Like, again, if it doesn't have any narrative conclusion or reason why, or I'm not playing as a gay person in a world with like that kind of prejudice, like those kids could shout anything else,
anything, you know.
Like,
I could be wrong about that. Like, yeah. I wouldn't rule it outside the scope of this game.
I've seen that criticism for it pop up a few times. Okay, like, I've seen a few people talk about it. And like what you were saying about the race thing as well, I've kind of like seen, not specifically about Disco Elysium, but I was playing The Sinking City earlier on this year, and like there's a whole pile of like Nazi iconography and like KKK members, and same with like Red Dead 2. And you can always like tell them to go get fucked. You can even kill them, you know, and stuff like that. But you're always playing a white guy who it never affects personally. So it's kind of, you have the ability to tell them to fuck off. You know, you can do it from kind of a safe, non-affected place. And it's like, if you are going to do these themes, kind of doing it from this kind of safe perspective, even if you're challenging them, isn't always that interesting. It's kind of like, wouldn't it be more interesting if the character actually had to deal with this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be saying
you
more?
do get some of that through your partner, but I also get what you're saying as well.
He could be the main character, the partner, instead of the side character. you know. And like, again, I haven't played this game, so I don't really know, but it's kind of like it's to have a conversation about these things, really.
We actually got a pretty good email. I think I'd like to.
Yeah, there's definitely some emails that are bouncing off some of the more difficult subjects in these games.
Yeah. Those concerns in mind, I'm having a good time with this game. Like Pathologic 2, it feels very fresh, and I'm always interested to see what way it goes. It's slow. Sometimes you can play the game for an hour, you go and you talk to the boss of a union, and then you go and have a drink at the bar, and that's your hour, you know. But it's cool. It's definitely one of the most interesting games that came out this year, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Brian,
yeah,
you beat Paper Mario.
I did. I beat Paper Mario. This was my Let's Play that I have up on the YouTube. It should be wrapping up at the end of December, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. This was my 4th time playing it, and I think this is the quickest I've beaten it as well.
Oh yeah?
Even though I was like fucking around. And it's really it was really interesting to kind of put the first couple episodes out without having told anyone publicly, and then seeing the feedback now, and then like I'm applying some of the like advice people are giving to me for the later game.
It's not easy, is it? Like,
no,
Let's Plays. It's such a different thing.
It is, yeah. But I think it's kind of fun to play a game that you've played a whole bunch like on repeat, but do it slightly different. So that's kind of what this one feels like. It seems like next year, I don't know if there's a lot of like games, like, because I was chatting to someone earlier on about it, like what games I'm looking forward to next year, and I could think of like a couple, but like I definitely want to go back and replay more GameCube games.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely do another Let's Play next year, but it'll be a couple months.
Cool. Any idea what it'd be?
Probably Chibi Robo.
Hell
but
yeah.
I've fallen down a GameCube hole, and there's a lot of like...
It's a weird platform.
It's a weird platform, and there's a lot of original games that were never ported. Like, some were ported to the Wii, but some of them only exist on the GameCube.
Yeah, totally.
So I ended up buying a special modded GameCube that is region unlocked.
Sick.
That has a HDMI out, and it also lights up.
Ooh, what color?
It's silver.
Nice.
But it has like a blue lighting underneath. And we're going to MagFest anyway, and maybe they might have some American and Japanese GameCube games.
They will, for sure.
And there's a couple of games that I really, really want to import.
Anyone's in particular?
There's this, I think it's called Ribbit King over here, and it's incredibly
sold.
Yeah.
It's croquet with frogs.
Okay.
And it's very hard to get in Europe, but it's like dirt cheap in Japan, and like I don't think you need a grasp of any language to play it.
Do you own Dash and the Giant?
Not yet.
Okay.
Let's just see how we get on in 2020. But I need to fall down that hole. I need to see where it takes me emotionally.
Guys, I need to talk about Shenmue 3. I need to tell you a story, and it's a very boring story.
It's Shenmue.
And it will take time.
It's Shenmue.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm sorry.
So I guess, listeners, if you want to put on some tea, now's your chance.
If you just want to fuck off and not listen to this bit, like, it's fine. Okay. So I need to find a stonemason in Bailu Village. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it has something to do with the Phoenix Mirror. So I go through the first 6-7 hours of the game. I find 2 stonemasons. They don't help. At some point I find a photo of my father standing in front of a bridge, and that's a thing that's important for some reason. I'm not sure. And I have to find the 3rd stonemason. So eventually I do. But the area of the village he's in is occupied by 3 ne'er-do-wells. So 3 bad guys.
Okay.
Beat 2 of them up because they're wusses. And then a 3rd one comes out and I'm fighting him. And I nearly beat him, but he just gets me at the last second. And this is the way story combat works in Shenmue 3. Those thugs are now occupying that part of the village. I can continue the rest of the story Or no, I can continue with the game. I can run around the village, go to sleep, farm herbs, chop wood, whatever the fuck I want. Those guys aren't going anywhere. It's been 5 days and they're still occupying the same part of the village, holding the same man hostage. In this community of people, these 3 thugs in this isolated community have taken over.
And you can kind of just see them? Like...
Well, now, in the last time there was a story encounter, I could go back, but if I try and walk towards them, Rio will stop and he'll be like, I can't beat them the way I am now, and just turn around.
That doesn't seem very Rio, to just leave someone there.
Yeah. So what I have to do is I have to go and learn more martial arts from a grandmaster martial artist. And so I'll be like, oh, I'll go to the guy who runs the temple full of martial arts monks. No, not him. Like, just no mention of... Rio doesn't talk to him about any of this. He just... Yeah.
That was very silly of you to assume that's where you go.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. So then I go, oh, maybe it's the other grandmaster that I met. No, it's not him either. So then I find out that if I go to the abandoned temple in Bailu village and I leave a cask of wine and a plate of dumplings and hide, an old man will emerge from the temple like a squirrel to seize the food.
You're joking.
I am not joking. And Bryan, strap in, we're only getting started. So then anyway, I do this, and he has a little spar with Rio, and he has some really cool moves.
Mm-hmm.
And so then anyway, I'm talking to him, and he's like, okay, you may ask me one question. And so I have to bring him wine and buns. And so I have the option to ask him about the Verdant Bridge or the martial arts. The martial arts seems like the more plot prominent one, so I ask him about the Verdant Bridge first, just to get it out of the way. He tells me he was alive when the Verdant Bridge was made.
That's not helpful.
No. Doesn't advance anything in the slightest. And then I'm like, okay, what about martial arts? And he's like, wine and buns. So I have to run back to the village and buy wine and buns. And then I do that, and I bring him wine and buns, and I ask about martial arts, and Rio's like, I want you to teach me that move you used. And he goes, whoa. You want me to teach you martial arts? Buddy, that's going to require some expensive wine. And I begin yet another side quest where for the 3rd time in the last hour, I must bring this man alcohol. But this is a special alcohol I can't buy. So I'm asking around the village, and I'm like, where can I get this special alcohol? And people are like, oh, old woman Yen over in the Panda Market might have some. And so I travel to the Panda Market, and I see a stall full of wine and alcohol. It's not the right stall.
Oh.
And then she points me towards the actual shop, which is this much larger shop full of wine. And I talk to her, and I'm like, do you have any of this rare 50-year-old wine? And she's like, I'm not sure, young man. Why don't you explore my shop and find out? So I spend 5 minutes in first person, like going through this woman's drawers, opening everything and trying to find out where this wine is. And then I shit you not, a cutscene plays and it's Rio, and he just goes, I guess she doesn't have it.
What?
Yeah.
So you searched all the shop and then he's just...
Yeah.
Is this advancing the game at all?
I mean...
You have to do it because you have to get the wine.
I don't know. And so I go outside and I ask someone, where can I find this wine? And they point me back towards the shop that I've just been in, and there's literally a note in Rio's notebook saying it's not that shop.
Oh, that's some conflicting information.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, fuck, I guess I'll just try the one shop right at the start of the game. And I go to the man, and he's like, I don't know if we have that wine. Why don't you take a look around and find out? And this is a way bigger shop. So I look, And then finally, I open a barrel and find inside that barrel a second barrel containing the wine I want. And so I take this wine to the counter and I'm like, this please. And he's like, oh, this is $2,000. I've been playing the game for 6 or 7 hours. My life savings is $500.
Oh my god.
Yep.
So to progress, you need to buy this wine. So now you have to make money to buy the goddamn wine.
Yes.
I hate Shenmue.
There was a part like this in Shenmue 2, but Shenmue 2, there's so many weird, fun ways you can make money. Like, you can enter fighting tournaments, you can do arm wrestling, you can play, like, gambling games.
This is like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Every single...
Guys, I know you both have things to say. We still have a long way to go.
Oh my god.
So then anyway, I'm trying to figure out how I can do this. I've been collecting herbs, but I've collected so many herbs I can't really find anymore. I split wood. You guys watch me split wood?
Yep.
Yep.
If I split wood for like... If I do a full session of splitting wood, I earn like $60.
Nice.
What about your gachapon collection that you can sell?
So I think the more gachapon you find, the rarer they get. Which makes sense. And that's not a good way to make money anymore.
Okay.
And so... Eventually, I hear that the fortune teller can predict the results of the local gambling.
Oh.
Okay, so I go and I pay her $10, and she tells me what's going to win in flower, sun, moon, bird, or some gambling name, basically, where you have to pick a color. And she'll be like, "Red is your lucky color." And so you do this, but you can't bet money on this, right? You have to buy tokens with your money, and it's the tokens you're betting. And I don't know what the exchange rate of the tokens is. It's pretty high, like you get a bunch, but you can only bet 1,000 tokens at a time.
Okay.
And so I eventually save up enough money that I have like $1,000, and it takes so long, and this is when I start gambling. And so
oh dear.
What I'm doing is I'm running back and forth. I'm at the gambling place. I run back to the fortune teller, ask her what's going to win, run back to the gambling place, and I do this half a dozen times. It takes maybe 30-40 minutes. And so finally I have this mountain of tokens, and I'm like, time to cash out. But I can't cash out. What I have to do is I have to take these tokens to the prize exchange and exchange it for prizes and then sell the prizes at a pawn shop.
Oh
my god, this is like just like a way to circumvent gambling laws.
Yeah.
This was what they actually
in
do
a
in
game.
Japan.
This is
Yeah, but this is in a Chinese village, a very remote Chinese village.
So at this point, it's been about an hour since my gambling journey, just the gambling portion of all this started, okay? Been doing this for an hour. I started with $1,000. I sell all my shit. I have now $1,200.
Oh my god.
I put the controller down, I bury my head in my hands, and I cry.
And there's no other way to make money faster.
Probably, but the game told me about this shitty fortune. Like, that was the thing the game told me to do.
Does this game need to be played with a walkthrough, or
No, it does. Like, I'm not playing it with a walkthrough.
Yeah, like the whole idea
but
is
maybe
like,
I should. I don't know.
Yeah, that you get more enjoyment out of it.
well, like I guess you want to experience the game the way it wants you to experience
Well,
it.
like,
You don't want
I've said to you before, like, one of the coolest parts about Shenmue 2 is when someone's like, bring me $500, and you have to figure out a way to make $500. And like, you enter fighting tournaments, and like the characters in the fighting tournaments are all these weird circus performers, and they all have these weird tricks to beat them. Like, one guy's impossible until he realizes he's wearing an eye patch, and so he can't block you if you attack him from like his blind side and stuff like that.
Do you think some of these bits could be done in the background of other story beats, or do you think you need to activate them in the order you activated them?
Hard to say, but I mean, when you don't know what's coming next, it's kind of all the same, especially when it's like, it's the game like leading you this way.
Yeah, like this is some like queuing at the tax office bullshit kind of thing.
I
Where,
honestly,
like, you've got the wrong form.
So
and you've been
I
queuing.
finished. Yeah, no, that's what it feels like. And I finished up this like 2.5 hour session, and I just had like the worst feeling you can have at the end of a gaming session, where you're just like, I wish I'd played something else. Like, I wasted my time, and I'm honestly kind of devastated that Shenmue 3 has left me feeling like this, and the combat's gotten way worse. The combat's dependent on your stats. It's not dependent on anything else.
That sucks specifically for you. I know how much practicing the combat means to you and just enjoying it for that sake of it. So just something where you level up a stat to progress, that it's artificially gate-kept like that is kind of lame.
It sucks.
So it's you need a bigger meter than your opponent so that you can outlast them in a fight.
Yeah, pretty much.
The bigger number beats the smaller number.
Yeah.
It's just so like they can't one-shot you, and so you can hit them hard enough that you're actually doing meaningful damage.
But there's no strategy outside of grinding then.
I mean, there could be, but like the controls are very imprecise, you know, like,
Yeah.
and the weight of your stats is so much more, like, it's so much more weighted than your ability to understand timing or combat or spacing or any of that. Like, you could play badly with high stats and you'd beat an enemy much easier than if you had low stats and played skillfully. And like, it should be both. It shouldn't be one or the other.
It kind of sounds like some of the more charming aspects of Shenmue has been lost, especially with the combat stuff specifically.
Totally, yeah. The cutscenes I still find endearing in a stupid way, but this is maybe the most aggressively I feel like a game has ever wasted my time. Like,
Wow.
It's insane. Like, I know you two have your criticisms about Shenmue 1 and 2, and they're valid, but this is a fucking next level. Like, it's insane.
Sounds incredibly tedious.
I'm very upset.
Oh dear. I'm really, really sorry, John. As someone who talks a lot of shit about Shenmue, to hear this,
And just me.
I just think it's like, I you know, at least on your own personal time, I'd like you to enjoy Shenmue, and it seems that that's not even the case.
For a while there, yeah, it was. That session really broke me. And you know the worst part? I'm gonna beat this game.
Oh,
I'm sure.
Like,
sure
I
you
have
will.
to.
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta see it through.
Also played some Final Fantasy VII. The game's alright.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on into Quicktime Events.
Hot off the presses, it's some video game news busting through your ears. Here we go, 2019.
Yeah, all these news items are actually breaking news exclusives from Let's Fight a Boss, the #1 source of video game news on the internet.
Up until this point, it was gossip, but now it is being verified by us.
Yeah,
and the entire team.
so we got a hot one straight off the bat. Bryan, you just came to me with this story. Yeah, like right before the podcast. He was like, we got to get this out here right now. And I was like, Bryan, there's a way we do things on the podcast. We have to wait till the news section. So break your story, Bryan.
Sony are celebrating their 25th anniversary of the PlayStation.
Great news. Anyway, moving on to item number 2.
And they had an animated promo. It was a mishmash of footage of the games throughout the years, mixed with some very vibrant looking animation.
Yeah, excellent animation.
Like commissioned animation that you would get from a studio that does this kind of stuff. And it turns out a lot of this is just traced keyframes.
Yep.
From
I think it was even more than keyframes. Like, it was the full.
It was everything.
Yeah, like
was
the
the
in-betweens and timing and everything.
the timing down to AT. Absolutely.
So on Twitter, people started noticing.
Yeah, and I guess there's Katsuka is a big website that collects and archives and celebrates a lot of this kind of style of animation, you know, like Sakuga style, and I guess like Gobelin animation from the Grad films and all the stuff in between. And they were collecting and putting it side by side and just showing the plagiarism for what it was.
Pretty blatant.
Yes.
every single shot was something, like down to the animation of the cat at the start was lifted from someone's little gif on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like every part of it was lifted from something else. We have Steven Universe the movie,
FLCL.
You have just like Goblin's like animation.
Yeah, student films directed by like kids in their early 20s.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sony have since removed the trailer and pretending it didn't happen. I don't think they've apologized for. Well, like I guess they don't
have. I think they should. Like,
yeah.
Like I know it's not specifically their beef, but I think like
it's
you
better,
released a video ripping off artists.
Yeah, it's better for the public image. I think if they kind of acknowledge it.
They don't need to be crucified. I mean, I get how this could happen.
Yeah.
But I think like publicly they should apologize.
Yeah. But I guess the person who is responsible is the animation director, Kevin Bao, who's a Canadian animator.
What had this guy done before?
Even the stuff he'd done before was stolen.
Yeah.
About.
So some
you don't
people,
just start doing this.
Yeah, went through his other work, and like just all the animators I was following on Twitter were just like, "Oh, my work is in this short." Like,
yeah.
It was so blatant.
Wow.
He'd done a lot of like loops and backing promos for like music concerts and stuff like that, and then a few kind of stings and kind of teasers, for like channel bumpers, that kind of thing. I think this is his first like full-on ad, and because it's with Sony, it was going to get a lot of attention. And I just think the dude is so narcissistic that like he thought he was because like he
right. I mean, like there has to be something crazy going on. Not that you do this, because I understand why someone would
just
do
to
this.
Keep doing
but
it.
to think you're not going to get caught,
It's just part of his workflow now is to go and steal other people's work and
like
trace it,
and just to convince yourself that this is a normal thing to do. As part of the workflow. He's since wiped himself off the internet, like deleted all his social media and his website and stuff like that. Some people managed to screenshot a few bits and pieces, and his work is hosted on other like director websites and studios. But I think the studio that he was working as a freelance director for haven't worked with him for 2 years, and they want nothing to do with him anyway now.
I mean, that dude's over. Like whatever headway he made as like a director of animation, gone. Like you are finished.
Well, I just thought the story was interesting because it kind of it's got the overlap of video game news and animation news, and this dude's a cautionary tale. Do not ever do what this guy does.
No. There were some comments that were like, guys, he's paying a homage.
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
like, no, there's a difference. And some other people were saying, because he specifically stole from Steven Universe the movie, they were like, well, Steven Universe do this. And they showed that shot, which was an actual homage to Utena.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, one is tracing over keyframes and the other is referencing a stylistic thing, but it's completely drawn with their new characters, their timing, their backgrounds. It's like there is a difference, and you need to recognize that. And I thought it was really weird to see people argue that it wasn't theft, even though that's all it was.
Well, I think that's people trying to be contrary, and definitely people who have never worked in animation.
A homage, you need to be able to recognize it as that.
Yeah, like it needs to stand proudly as like a blatant homage. You know? Like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense the other way, where it's like, especially in like an advertisement.
Yep. And
You know?
student films you're taking from, or Steven Universe the movie that just came out this year. Like you're not referencing popular, like it's not the Akira bike scene that everyone will know.
Well, now in that case, everyone is stealing from it.
It's true.
I think they should.
Yeah, guys, stop doing it.
Yeah.
No. This was incredibly sneaky, but like very badly executed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, for as shitty as this is, I think the thing that gets me is just how like profoundly stupid this person was.
Yeah.
Like you could like even just, if you're gonna steal, like take the keyframes and change the timing, just make it so you're not gonna get recognized.
I'd say with this guy, there's probably been some people that have noticed his plagiarism, and it was just going to be a case that he would get bigger and bigger, and it would be on a very like high profile project, and it was very easy to just boom, get him.
I'd love to know someone was plagiarizing and watch them get bigger and bigger and just be like, here we go.
Yeah.
It's gonna come. But yeah. Niamh, why don't you tell us about Remake 3?
So PlayStation today, actually, Tuesday, had theirs, which is when we record.
Today's Monday.
Sorry, it's Monday.
It's Monday. We're directly speaking to you, the viewer,
It's
our favorite person.
It's Monday the 16th of December.
Yep.
Yeah, this is live. Sony had their State of Play, and they showed off a few things. Untitled Goose Game is coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox, which is good. They had a really cool looking game called Superliminal, which was a game playing with perspective. You pick up a PlayStation controller and you move it up into space, and then suddenly that PlayStation controller is massive and fills the entire room. But the thing that people really wanted to see and really stood out was the Resident Evil 3 remake trailer. And this started first person, someone's running through a hall, the hall's on fire, there's something behind them chasing them. Cool flip, it's Jill Valentine, she looks great, she's got her blue tank top. Mwah.
I thought her design was really boring.
John,
just, you're not allowed to talk about the new Resident Evil games. You're banned.
John, she
looks so boring, and Claire
does
looks
she-
so boring in Remake 2.
How do they look boring?
Because she's wearing 2 vests. That's not a character design. That's a lazy Saturday.
But she looks like a person. Like, what do you want her to wear? Like a
The
one
old
armor
costume.
You can wear
The old
that.
costume, she looked like a fun girl who was having a cool night, and she got involved in a bunch of shit, and it showed you that Jill has a life outside fucking stars and everything else.
the old costumes
But
in the game.
The old costumes in the
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
you
it's
can
in the
wear
game as a homage, blah, blah, blah. It's the new, it doesn't change the fact that the new costume sucks.
It doesn't. It makes way more sense. And the developers were even saying, like they said about the new costumes for everyone else, is we wanted to be influenced by the old ones, but for it to make sense for her role and the environment she's in. She knows there's a zombie apocalypse happening. She's not going out in her boob tube anymore. It's just let the boob tube go.
No, I refuse. And you know what? Leon's new costume, garbage.
Oh, what? It's so tight in his muscles.
It's not as tight as the old one.
Well, the old, his polygon ass. I miss it. Like,
Me too, Niamh.
John just wants his computer titty, that's all.
so I thought her like blue tank top looked great.
Cool, you can go buy a blue blank tank top.
Yeah, normal people can wear that outfit.
Normal people should also look good, Niamh.
This
Oh,
one's
no clothes are normal person clothes! It's insane! Anyway, sorry.
I think it looks great.
Carlos has a full redesign.
Carlos looks great.
And he looks great.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Shut up. And he also looks great. He actually looks like a Latino man now, which is like good.
Good, yeah.
Because before he looked like a...
Jill's facial model looks fantastic. Like, just her hair and all that shit looks cool.
Yeah, she should be wearing more boob tubes, though. I get
Niamh,
it.
stay on focus.
Carlos looks great. It's in the same engine as Resident Evil 2 Remake, so it's like behind the shoulder. She looks like she has a proper dodge now, which is great because I was kind of missing that from 2. Really needed to get out of those sticky situations. What's also interesting is, we talked about it before, is the Resistant project, which is that kind of...
I was really surprised about this.
Yeah, their 4v1 multiplayer game. That's part of Resident Evil 3. So you buy Resident Evil 3 and you have that multiplayer.
It's got a single player campaign and it's got the multiplayer.
Fully fleshed out multiplayer.
That's great.
And that's great because like those multiplayer games are fun, but it's kind of hard to get an install base for them, especially like the Resident Evil franchise. Like they do.
I don't know. People
co-op.
really loved Umbrella.
No.
I'm trying to make a joke,
No.
and I don't even remember the name of the game because it
Umbrella
died. So
Chronicles?
Umbrella Chronicles.
No, that's the on-rail shooter.
Oh yeah, it is.
What was Project Raccoon City? I don't fucking... You know, the multiplayer Resident Evil game where you played as members of Umbrella?
Mercenaries and stuff like that. But like,
Yeah. But there was a multiplayer game they released, do you remember?
for the PlayStation.
Yeah, set in Raccoon City, where you play as like Hunk and the rest of the members of like an Umbrella squad.
I know the one you're talking about. I forgot that you just reminded me of it.
So did everyone else talking
don't
about
know
either.
why.
I know,
Yeah.
This other multiplayer focused Resident Evil game came out, and just died.
Wow, yeah, that's out of my mind.
And
Well,
Niamh,
anyway.
this was like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Resident Evil 3?
Okay, so it's cool that they will have the install base for the people who come to single player Resident Evil games will also be able to kind of have a go at this mode, and maybe they'll fall in love with this kind of mode, and that'll be there. Because when Project Resistance was announced, I was kind of like, oh, I need to know the price of that before. Like, I was half in, and I'm a big fan.
I wouldn't have bought that game.
Yeah, that would
No.
be like, exactly.
I think it probably would have went out to die.
Yeah, unless, and I was like, maybe they'll do it free to play, or like some of the other games, they'll have it be cheap or on PS Plus or something like that. But it's really good that they've bundled it with 3. I think that'll give it'll give 3 more longevity and give that game way more of a fighting chance just to be something that people latch onto. I like that engine a lot.
It's fantastic.
I love the sound design of 2, and I'm excited to see how they kind of work 3 into a new game realized in 2020 and see what kind of changes they make. Nemesis has a nose now.
Yeah, but it's like diagonal,
Yeah.
like stretched across.
It's like his his face is just kind of being burst across this new giant skull with his giant chompers.
Yeah, he's still got the very long teeth.
He's like, I really like original Nemesis design. I think there's something kind of cute about him and his big boots, but like
His big bazooka.
yeah,
His big corrective shoes.
like they're like I kind of like that design, but I don't mind.
I
this
wonder what
redesign.
they'll do with him this game, because like I wonder, will they just do X again?
Yeah.
Or do you think they'll have like something else?
It'll definitely be like they've had a year plus to improve the AI,
Yeah.
so I think there'll be a lot more, because like it's very easy to like break Mr. X once you know how to like avoid him.
I remember in Resident Evil 3 as well, he had like, there was like decision sections where he was coming at you and you could choose to stay and fight him or run. I think they could do some really interesting stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. They really didn't show that much gameplay, like, but
I wonder, will
It
it
looks
be
pretty.
more first person?
I don't think so. I think it's
You don't
all
think
third
so?
person. I think the first person bit was like just a part of the teaser.
Yeah. Okay, so the game I was talking about is called Umbrella Corps.
Oh,
And
no
it-
one liked that. That came out to die.
It came out in 2016 and has a 38% Metacritic.
Yeah, no.
Holy shit.
That was ass.
Yeah, it was bad.
This is the one where it's like it's Hunk and a bunch of like design your own hunks, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Crobcat did a video on it. It's that kind of game.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So that was in State of Play. Other stuff in State of Play, they showed a new trailer for Ghost of Tsushima,
Oh yeah.
and that's seemingly going to have a presence at the Game Awards.
Yeah. It
Game Awards is soon, isn't it?
It's Thursday, so-
Shit.
Whoa.
which
Okay.
which has happened, and what one game it was Death Stranding.
Yeah. A big congrats to Kojima and your narrative. Jeff is real proud of you.
They probably wanted to get it out of the way before our Game of the Year, because they didn't want to be like...
IGN released their Game of Year, and I thought that was pretty early to do, because it's
Yeah, I was surprised
Yeah.
when you told us.
There's the Platinum game.
Babylon's Fall.
That's the one, all in caps. This is with Square Enix and Platinum, and it looks like a Platinum trying to make a Dark Souls game.
Did they show a concept of this ages ago? And like, it was
Yeah.
nothing. Like, there was
Yes.
nothing in it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it was mostly a logo that doesn't look like the style of the game.
Yeah, so now they have like a 2-minute trailer, and then they said we will show you another trailer in summer 2020.
The fighting style looks very... This is Final Fantasy 15 meets Nier. Like
Yeah.
the kind of ghost sword appearing on his back.
Yeah, absolutely. But then it looked like you had to kind of like it was a bit character actiony, but also it seemed like you had to really commit to your attacks and make a lot of real time decisions about which enemy you're fighting one at a time, so on, so forth.
I mean, I'll always give a shit about something Platinum put out.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we are getting... This is weird. A re-release of Vanquish and Bayonetta, but both being sold in the same box.
Yeah.
Um,
Because they're both a decade old now.
Yeah. And I guess I'm going to buy Bayonetta for a third time.
Yeah, didn't that come out as the HD in the
Yeah,
HD
yeah,
bundle
it did.
recently?
Yeah.
So this is like a completely...
This has
remake?
Vanquish in it instead.
oh.
I think it's just a HD re-release. I don't think it's like a
So
remake.
it's the same one that's already been released.
But bundled with Vanquished.
Oh.
Which is weird.
Didn't Vanquish get a PC release last year or the year
Yes.
before? Okay, so
Yeah.
this is just a more accessible version for consoles.
Yeah, which is great because Vanquish is fantastic.
It is. It's one of Mikami's best games.
Absolutely.
Not against a bundle, but yeah, it's kind of a weird.
Hopefully you can just download them individually.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
I'd say what'll happen is this will get a steel case bundle at launch, and then within like 2 months it'll drop price and it'll always be on
Yeah,
sale.
because I'd love an updated version of Vanquish. I don't need to play Bayonetta again. Or I don't need to buy Bayonetta again.
I own Bayonetta 3 times.
Yep.
I own it on 360, the Wii U, and Switch. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
No word on Bayonetta 3. Maybe, I don't know.
God, yeah.
Well, you know, just in relation to general game announcements.
Yeah.
It's just weird how like Platinum will announce a game and then not say anything.
And our last piece of news of the year, new Bioshock in development.
And it has been for years.
Yep. Yeah.
They seemingly, but then also they stopped that development and moved it to a new studio, so it hasn't been as long as we thought either.
Because there was a Jason Schreier article about... Yeah, I remember that.
These are 2K games, aren't they?
Yeah.
Or is it some subdivision personally headed by Ken Levine's the director, isn't he? He's the creative director.
He is. I don't think he's involved.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't think he is.
And Bioshock 3 came out in spring 2013, and by the end of 2013 the DLC had been done and dusted, and it had some online, and I know they did the Bioshock collection, which is also always on sale for like a tenner.
Yeah.
And Bioshock kind of just seemed like one of those things that, there you go.
I mean, some people love it.
Oh, people
Yeah.
love Bioshock.
I mean, like, I remember the original Bioshock kickstarted a whole, see, video games are art. And, like, I think that's a very redundant, boring argument that, I honestly don't think Bioshock did that much to really stoke the flames of it or
I
anything.
think it has some very like well-made set pieces.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some cool parts for sure.
Yeah. It's just a shooter.
I'm interested to see what a new one could be, because like I didn't play 3, and honestly, like everything I've heard about it makes me not
Yeah,
interested.
it's not great.
Yeah, no, don't
I
don't ever play
appreciated that they
game.
tried something weird with it, even if it didn't work out. And like the idea of a big budget thing trying something weird is interesting. So hopefully
think-
it's great.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Bioshock is to games what Sixth Sense is to movies.
Yeah.
It's good to kind of when you don't know the twist, and then when you know the twist, you're kind of like, yeah.
Do you guys notice how many people in Death Stranding use the term "would you kindly"?
Yeah, maybe that's just polite.
I hope so.
Do you think it's a Bioshock? Well, he
I don't
references
know.
everything.
I
Who
don't
knows? Who cares?
I don't know if Kojima, does he ever reference other video games though? I think he's like,
yeah,
no.
he does.
Does he?
Yeah, he does in the most obnoxious way. Like, I'll talk about it later at
Okay.
the end of the game of the year.
Okay, cool. And that's gonna do it for news, guys. What shall we take some emails?
Okay. We have an email address.
No, we don't.
We do. I'll prove it to you.
Okay.
Ask let's fight a boss
Ask, let's fight, just ASK, let's fight a boss
at gmail.com.
at gmail.com. Okay, I'm gonna.
And if you send an email to that,
Yeah, I'm gonna send an email. And
then
then I'm gonna check her. You're right.
excellent. So our email is up and running, and if you email us,
We've worked out all the technical kinks. We finally now have an email.
yeah. Can I read out one of the emails?
Absolutely, bro.
I was going to start off one of the lighter ones, if that's okay.
Go for
Yeah.
it.
So this one is from Paul, and it is your dream project. And there's a question for each of us, so I'm going to do it in order. So the first one is for John. You are the director of the newly renewed Shenmue Online project. What is the one feature you will add to this dream game of yours, no matter who says what?
That's tricky because
And you can make us two suffer.
okay, Shenmue 3 or Shenmue Online has never been like something I was super into. Like, I was really disappointed when it went that way. But if we're talking purely mechanics I could implement to make Bryan and Niamh suffer, Rio is now voice controlled. And so you have to be like, Rio, turn right, sprint for 20 meters.
Oh no.
and but it doesn't really work with our Irish accents.
Yeah,
so
never.
we're doing a let's play, and Niamh goes, Rio, turn left, run forward 30 meters, and Rio just says, I don't need to use that right now.
If we'd have to call out a number or something.
And you have to say Rio every time.
No, don't like that.
Okay. All right. Then for Niamh, you are the director of the Near Android Cowboy Destiny Clone Forever MMO with definitely lesbian themes and characters. What is the one feature you will add to this already perfect game of yours to make it even more perfecter?
I presume that this might be already part of it since it is the perfect game, but there would be kind of a Mass Effect build your squad that you can also date, and they all would be lesbians of different flavors.
Brian, I think you left out a part at the end
In
of
brackets,
here.
it says more lesbians can't be a feature.
Damn it! Okay, all the lesbians have their own pet dog.
So,
good.
so they have a animal companion,
Yeah.
familiar.
And you get to have your own animal companion as well, and there's kind of like a pet taken care of sim that's part of it as well. Like you can throw them a treat and stuff, and like they might bring you more ammo or stuff. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's a great game.
10 out of 10.
That's a good answer. Okay, and then for me, you are the director of the new One Piece movie. What is the one scene you will add to this movie that will make your wildest fan fiction ideas come true? And I'm not allowed to insert Kirby. What would I add?
I like in scenes like that whenever there's just like a chill out scene.
Okay, so it's a chill out scene, and they're all kind of relaxing, and it's kind of like the usual antics. Sanji's making food, and like Usopp wants the food, and Sanji's like, no, you can't eat the food until the girls eat the food because I'm giving them the nice food and you can have the scraps afterwards. And like Chopper is like, are you making candy floss? And Sanji's like, I'm not making candy floss. But then it shows he actually is making candy floss. And Zoro is taking a nap, and Brooke is fishing, and Frankie is he's doing squats. But Luffy is at the bow of the ship, and he's looking off into the sunset, and he goes, I wonder what Mom is doing. And that's the scene.
Beautiful. But what if they go to Lesbian Island and all the lesbians there have their own dog?
That may or may not have partially happened.
Brian, no, it didn't. I know what you're getting at, and that does not. Oh no, wait, it actually kind of does. I was thinking of one semi-lesbianish island, and then I thought of the actual lesbian island from.
No, it's just they've never mentioned Luffy's mom, and
That's sad.
yeah. But Luffy's also really stupid, so he'd be like, "Duh, I have a mom." He forgot he had a dad. I would, and like Oda would be like, "You can't have that in the movie," and I'd be like, "Look, yes, I can."
You signed on the dotted line.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
Who was that from?
That was from Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
I got one here from Alex. Hello there, Brian, Niamh, and Hungry Like a Wolf. And he kind of framed that in such a way that I knew it was a song. And so I looked up the song afterwards. Yeah, it's not a bad song about.
Have you not heard that song?
Nope.
And yeah, it's written as a JoJo stand.
Yeah. Been listening to you guys for about a year now and absolutely adore everything you've done. But anyway, you've all been hired to act as substitute villains. You'll be filling in for the villains who are for one reason or another unavailable, like Pyramid Head has caught the flu and now needs you to torment James in a state, or Sephiroth might have you destroy the world for him while he is out on vacation. So who would you fill in for and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. So it could be like video game villains, could be comic book villains,
Anybody,
movie villains. Yep. What are some good villains first?
I feel like villains are kind of being phased out of media a lot.
And now they're the
Lately.
protagonists.
Yeah, or like they need to be like not villainous anymore. Like the fact I heard that Frozen 2 doesn't have a villain.
Yep.
Which kind of sucks. It should have a villain. I just like I've kind of noticed that I haven't loved villains as much as I used to.
It's more characters are in a circumstance, and that's the point of like to them that's the problem they face. It's a misunderstanding.
And like that's kind of sad because I like when people are just kind of villainous for no reason. So with that in mind, Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh,
that's
Niamh,
a
you'd make
good
a
one.
great Pegasus.
Yeah.
He's already campy and kind of like a little moronic about things, but
Yeah.
like is just having a great time, is in a robe and drinking wine.
Is very okay with himself.
Very okay with himself and is getting a lot of delight out of tormenting children,
Yeah.
which is just really fun. So I would love to, tag a Pegasus out. I'd put on the wig, do the full suit, and go and just have a great time being kind of a dick to children, but not too much of a dick, but kind of a dick.
You're going down, Kaiba boy.
Yeah, sounds great.
I think I'd definitely go for Yoshikage Kira. Just have the perfect life. And just live like that forever.
Until some teenager. What?
No, I'd change things. What could have been?
You do it better.
What? Sorry.
Okay.
I know last time I was talking about Darth Sidious, I wouldn't mind being Darth.
Oh my fucking god. The idea of Bryan being like a Sith Lord is hilarious.
Yeah.
I just think I'd make everyone break dance with my Jedi or with my fucking Sith powers.
Like, imagine how, like, that's really
Using the
funny, but
Force.
imagine how scarring that would be to the person you did it to. Like a well-respected general, and you just bring him out into the middle of the hall and make him do a
I
breakdance.
can imagine, because some of the, I can't think of anything specifically it's been in, but when people use other people's bodies as puppets in a horror way.
In One Piece, there's Don Flamingo. He's got
Character who
strings.
does it in Avatar as well.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah.
The bloodbending. and
Bloodbending
stuff.
is so fucked
That
up.
stuff is so fucking freaky.
I love it when that like witch woman goes, "You're a bloodbender now."
What an awful thing to say to a
Awful
teenage
thing to say
girl.
to a teenage girl.
Yeah, no, I think villains need to be more cartoonish, please.
Yeah.
For a moment there, I was like, if you're Griffith, have a fucking cool suit of armor, have a cool. And then I rewound on that, and I was like, you know what? I'm good.
I don't think you want that personal history.
No, and I don't want to make Guts that sad. Tagoro from Yu Yu Hakusho.
You want that? You want your older brother sitting on your shoulder?
Yeah, I want you sitting on my shoulder, Brian. Both of you, one on each shoulder.
Elder Tagoro and Mother Tagoro.
Oh my god, that would be so good. Oh, Niamh, do you wanna pick out a question, or would you like me to pick out a question?
Have you one in mind?
Not particularly.
Oh, this is from Bruno. It's called Liking Games You're Bad At. Hello, Let's Fight a Boss crew. I'm a long-time listener of your podcast since The Tale of the Stolen Foot. Oh, it's cute that
That's
yeah.
an old one.
My name is Bruno and I'm from Ecuador. A while ago, I bought the game Into the Gungeon for my PS4. I liked how the game looked. I started playing, and after several hours of being stuck on floor number 1 and 2, I realized I just suck at the game. Turns out bullet hell games are not my cup of tea. Have you ever bought or played a game that looked cool, but then you played and realized you were not good at it? And if you did you find a way to break in, or is it sometimes better to just give up? Thanks for all the podcasts and countless hours of entertainment. You guys will always be in my heart.
I've kind of realized this year that I think I'm bad at fighting games.
I don't know if that's true about you. You seem pretty good at fighting games, because I'm bad at fighting games.
Well, put it this way. For the amount of hours I've put into fighting games, I think I should be better.
Okay, fair. Okay.
And I feel like I have this horrible creeping suspicion that if most normal people put in a reasonable amount of hours in fighting games, they'd probably beat me at games I've been playing for years. And I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean...
And I say that just because there's basically a level I always plateau at in
Yeah.
fighting games, where I'll always get to the top of bronze rank, but I can never push through into silver rank or beyond. And I don't think I ever will. And I've never been able to do that in any fighting game.
I get
Does
you.
that make sense?
No, it totally does. You've kind of, your ceiling.
Yeah. And maybe it's something I could surpass with enough time and skill. Never gonna.
But then you'd have to invest so much time into I think the difference is some people are that's all they do. They just play fighting games.
Yeah. But I wonder, is that an innate talent thing?
Yeah, also you're old now.
No, that's nothing to do.
No, you get
Your
a
eyes and
17-year-old
hands
or
are slower.
yeah.
You can't react as quickly now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think it's kind of always been a thing.
And it's only going to get worse.
Because, like, you know, sometimes do you ever meet someone who can just pick up video games and they get good at them?
Oh, have you watched a kid play a video game?
I try not to.
They're like sponges.
I give like, I don't know what age he was. He was pretty young. I can't gauge children's ages, but I gave him Destiny and I was just like, there you go, you know, it's kind of hard. And it just headshot. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Like, first time, just innate. I think for me it would be fighting games specifically because I love the character designs of so many fighting games. Like, just a beautiful roster of great designs, looking
Would you have
amazing.
any favorites?
Like, I loved all the Tekken characters forever. Like, Tekken was one of my favorite game series, and it's gone past me in a way that I'll, like, buying them now is just pointless.
You should have a look at, like, some of the King of Fighter art books, because I see a lot of King of Fighter designs, and I feel like it's so, like, even the art book you got me a while ago, there's so much beautiful artwork in that thing.
But it's just like, I have folders saved of characters from everything. I remember buying BlazBlue because I loved the character art and played it for like literally 2 hours, and I was like, hell no, not for me.
Yeah,
just
that game is hard.
Not for me.
Even for like me and Bryan, like,
that game is not accessible for a casual gamer in any capacity.
No, that's for people who love anime fighters.
Yeah, you need to be
like,
a very
even
special
more than
guy.
Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
And then, like, other than that, like, we were kind of talking about Celeste earlier. There's some of those games where John and Bryan are very big into their pixel games. There's some games where I think the designs are beautiful and I really want to play them. And then I realize it's this platforming type game and just, nope, not for me. I'm just not good at them. They don't click in a way that I find so frustrating that I just drop them instantly. But those are the two genres where I just have not got over those humps and have made stupid purchasing decisions thinking that this will be the one that will, and it never works out for me.
But you, Bryan?
I'm trying to think of a good example.
I think I can think of examples I know I'm bad at, but I play them anyway. You know?
Like, you just sort of kind of chip away at it in a really, like, you're not playing the game properly. Like, it does not look like you're playing it like you would at an E3 demo. No. Like, you know, the way I guess like some of the single player like Naughty Dog games, I get real bad at those towards the end.
Yeah.
And you just play sloppy, but you're just sort of like ragdolling your way through the last sections of those games. I always
felt like I was playing Last of Us wrong.
Yeah. Looking forward to Last of Us 2.
Oh no.
The game I'm looking forward to trading in after, because then I'll be like, okay, I know what this is now.
I'm looking forward to talking about it on the podcast. Anyway,
I definitely get that. I can't think of like specific examples. Like, I think what happens to me is that, like, if I'm not feeling that game, I just stop liking it as much as I wanted to.
I wish I liked playing Guilty Gear, and I do like it to a point. But, like, I love the Guilty Gear, like, characters and world and lore. I love all that stuff. And I'll suffer playing the game for that. But I find the game very difficult to get into. Now, that said, I guess when we play it, Bryan, like, I do really enjoy it. Like, I love playing as Jam and Johnny and all that kind of stuff. But it is fun. But I think I wish... I think I'm still at a point, even playing, like, Guilty Gear for, like, 20 years now, where I don't really know what I'm doing, at least not the way I would with like Smash or Street Fighter or something, or Virtua Fighter or Tekken. You know,
Wargroove from this year.
Yeah.
I really, really want to like that game, but it's not the same as the Advance Wars games, and it's supposed to be, but it's not.
Yeah.
And you need to play that game differently, and I think if you've played the Advance Wars games, it makes the game much harder because you think you can approach it that way.
I think honestly, when you reach like that level of a game, just let it go. Like, if you're not having fun with it.
Yeah. It can be rewarding to struggle, but I think, like, you also have to, like, be aware of your time.
Yeah.
And, like, what are you sacrificing to give this thing a chance?
Mm-hmm.
Great question. Thank you.
You could be playing your next best favorite game instead.
You totally could. There's one here.
I've got one here. I don't know if it's the same one.
I like the one about the playing as female characters.
Yeah, that was great. I've got it here.
Go for it.
Okay, it's from Charles, playing as a female character. Hi, Jib, Bribe, and Nib. For a long time, I've chosen to play female characters in video games whenever given the choice, with some exceptions. However, I feel like this is something I get judged for. I've even been asked if it's because I wanted to be a girl, but that's not true. I'm happy as a guy and have never considered being otherwise. My main question is, why do you think this is such a big deal for some people, and have you experienced this or anything similar? Yeah.
That is so strange.
You see that come up on shitty gamer takes all the time, where people are like, this is like, I can't be immersed in this because I have to play as a female character.
Yeah, I think if someone's saying that, ignore that opinion. That is ridiculous.
It's just so bizarre. And like, I actually have seen this. Remember before I watched like a video of Dark Souls, and this is the original Dark Souls, about like how to dual wield in the game, and it's like really awkward, but you can do it. And the top comment with like 1,000 upvotes was like dual, like the person playing the game was a female avatar, and the top comment with like 1,000 likes was like, dual wielding is as pointless as playing as a female.
That's like,
and it's like, dude,
what's
what?
wrong?
What?
Why?
But yeah, so because like I like when I was little, I used to like mainly play as like a dude in games, and that changed somewhere in the last 10 years. And like I was trying to figure out why, and the reason honestly is just like, I've played as so many dudes, like it's kind of just interesting to play as like a female and see like, you know, it lets you like introduce like new elements to your character, or just like I want to play as something very different to what I am. I don't necessarily want to be me in games, you know?
No, I'm the exact same. I always play as a female character if I had the choice, because I want to escape the world I'm in.
And I'll generally gravitate towards like female characters in fighting games as well, because I think female martial artists are cool because there's more they have to overcome, you know, that kind of way.
For me, this has come up a few times, specifically being gay and a woman. Older games, there wasn't a lot of female characters, so I would always have to play male characters, so I've been used to playing as male characters. It doesn't bother me. But then there would be some games where I would have the option to play as female characters, but their costuming was so bad and just so awful that I could not relate to a character who would dress that way.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I'm a very gender non-conforming. I don't wear girly clothes ever. So like, I wasn't going to play as an elementalist female character in Guild Wars, for example, and I would always gravitate towards male characters in fantasy settings because they kind of wore clothes that I thought was cooler. So
he's literally wearing a grey sweater that says tomboy.
Yeah. But like, even like with like Monster Hunter World, I made my female character because character creator is cool, and then the armor for women in it sucks.
Yeah,
like
they're bad.
I personally didn't like it, and it bummed me out because the male character armor was so good.
Like, there was some armor that was cool, and then there was some where like you kill that fucking like big Tyrannosaurus Rex and you get a bikini.
Yeah, it's like, I want cool
Totally,
armor.
yeah.
So because it, like, sometimes I will look up what the armor sets are for the genders and then base my gender pick on clothes, because fashion is more important to me. And then like, I love games obviously like Dark Souls and Bloodborne where your gender doesn't affect the costuming at all, and then you can really just play with fashion and stuff. Other reasons why I've picked boy characters in one of my favorite games, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I love Bastila Shan, and I also loved Morrigan in the first Dragon Age. You cannot romance her as a woman, but her story is kind of the main canon romance in both games. Like, they're the central driving plot of both games.
So wait, what's the like end game with her if you're a woman?
It's just not as satisfying because like the romance is kind of ripped out of it. Like, there's stuff there, but it's just not as good at all.
Like, sometimes BioWare were so weird for that, because remember there was a thing with, I played as like a female shepherd, and Samara, the blue bounty hunter girl. It's like there's basically two separate cutscenes where like she turns you down because she never wants to be with anyone, which is fine. Like, yeah, cool. But the one where you're a girl is like, no, and the one where you're a man is like, no,
I mustn't.
I want you so badly. And like,
BioWare have done loads of weird stuff with
it would have been
that.
so much more satisfying to just have that for both, because who gives a shit?
Well,
who fucking cares?
In
you know?
the first Mass Effect, you can, like, when you play as Femshep, you can, like, date Liara, but if you play it as a male Shep, you can't have any gay romances there. And, like, they've done weird stuff like that forever, but those were two games where I made the decision to play a male character because I could relate more to wanting to date these women in the game than playing a female character and dating a male character, like, side character. And I thought it was better for the plot. Like, I will totally pick gender if I think it's better for the story.
Yeah. So I guess no, like I wouldn't think that's weird at all. I would think that's kind of the part of playing video games. I think some people, and like, I think it's totally possible to be perfectly comfortable in like your gender and just be like, no, I always want to play as a dude, I always want to play as a girl, or like whatever, you know, that's fine too. If someone were to be to me like, why are you playing as a girl? To me, that would nearly signal that maybe there's something they're not quite okay with themselves, and that could be any number of things, but it's certainly not a reflection on you, dude. So have a great time, play as a lady.
Yeah. Could I pick one of the more less casual questions?
Let's get less casual.
Okay, I really like this one from Deku. Did you guys see this one?
I did, it's a great email.
Damaging portrayals of minority. Hi there, my name's Deku and I'm a trans man. In episode 112 of the podcast, you all mentioned how the Life is Strange people were making a new game with a trans male protagonist, which made me wonder, do you think bad representation can potentially be more harmful to minority groups than none at all, even if it's unintentional? If people are misinformed about trans issues, specifically through media, could it possibly have an effect of making folks less receptive to more accurate depictions in future?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Like, honestly, with the way it kind of just shows that, like, representation in something doesn't really mean a lot if there isn't representation in the company making stuff. Like, if you don't have trans voices, gay voices, people of color's voices in the writing room writing these narratives, they're not really worth much. Like, they're kind of nearly a marketing thing at that stage. There's been a lot of attempts at representation and canon representation that have been so awful that I would rather they didn't bother and just let me play with the subtext myself as a fan, because what they did was so fucking shit. Like LeFou in Disney's
and the Beauty and the Beast live action.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Because like before, like Cogsworth and Lumiere were always like this kind of like, oh, they're kind of gay, you know, and you could kind of headcanon that.
Yeah.
And then in the live action, they were like, don't worry, guys, we'll give you a real gay, a canon gay, the first canon Disney gay. And they made it LeFou. And his whole thing is he looks at a man and maybe has one little rotation in a dance, and that's it. They don't say he's gay. There's nothing really about it. But they also, in the
balls
meantime,
on them to be like,
how brave.
Yeah,
we did it.
We did it, guys. And like, it was the same thing with the Marvel movies. You've like 20 something movies, and then they were like, don't worry, guys, we'll give you a gay. And then it's one of the directors in a little scene where it's just
he's in a group therapy talking about a date he went on with another guy.
Yeah, and his boyfriend died. Like, it's less than nothing, but they'll release all these fluff articles. Like, there were so many articles about that, and it was all like, better go to the cinema to see who it is. And like that just kind of gives them...
And like, what are they expecting? Like, a group of great gay dudes to go and see that it's this bit player who's barely in it, and they all fucking high five?
Like,
Like,
I think it's for people who don't really want gay characters in things to be like, look, they did it, see, they did it. It's like there's something to point at and just like to tick something off. Like, it's happening with Star Wars, the new Star Wars as well. Like, they were like, there's an article from 2016
like
being like, hey, there'll be a gay character in Star Wars. We have 2 movies. There's nothing happening. And then with the 3rd movie, they're like, look, Fen and Poe isn't going to happen. And I'm not the type of person who thought it would have happened. It would be great because, like, John Boyega and Oscar Isaac really seemed like they wanted to play into that, specifically Oscar Isaac. But they were like, don't worry, there will be an LGBT character in it, but you're gonna have to go and see. And like, what the fuck is that gonna be? Is that gonna be some like background alien or some shit? Like, it's not gonna be Rey. Like it's gonna be something they can hide enough so it can play in China or some shit. And like, it just kind of sucks that some like they're kind of putting out this canon shit that's less than anything, but in the meantime also kind of plugging up any little subtextual things by making them canonly heterosexual. And it's just like, there isn't even room for fan fiction or just exploring subtext in a fun way anymore, because they're like, no, here's your thing, here's your shitty slice of the pie. It's shit.
Yeah, they're just giving the worst scraps to marginalized people.
Yeah. And like when kind of with the Life is Strange and that kind of stuff, they did play into really harmful tropes. I know a lot of lesbians who love that game though, because there isn't a lot, and I'm hoping they will deal with this trans game with some level of sensitivity. I'm sure they will, because I kind of think they're marketing themselves as the people who make, you know, these type of games.
And it's got GLAD backing it, which is...
GLAD care about numbers.
Okay.
GLAD backs like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Like,
okay.
And that has some dodgy shit in it.
I was just wondering, because like they backed the universe, and I was like, that's great.
Yeah, like GLAD's, like having a GLAD stamp of approval is kind of like, this is marketable really, rather than it's great. But I'm hoping, like, I know that will probably mean a lot to a lot of people, because honestly, like, there's a trans male character in Dragon Age Inquisition. God, I can't think of his name. But I know he meant so much to so many people. And, like, he's barely in it. So, that's the state we're in. It's just, like, someone there who's just vaguely representative, like, can mean so much that it's kind of... I think bad. I don't know. I'm kind of in two minds of this shit all the time.
No, it's difficult though, because like I hear what you're saying. Like on one point, it's like you want good representation, like not just representation, good representation. But on the other, there's so fucking little of it that like when you do get something, it's like a drop of water in the desert, you know. And it's like, fuck, I need more water than this. But it's also like, I'm glad this exists all the same.
Yeah, right? like to me in new media, I'd rather they did it right.
Yeah.
You know what, the way in like 80s horror movies, you have stuff like Sleepaway Camp and Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and they're struggling with marginalized people, and it's offensive, but then they're reclaiming it in some ways, and it's being kind of celebrated in a kind of like, you know, in like a reverse dissection way, I guess.
That's what I mean by I would nearly prefer the subtext again, because like to try and hide the gay stuff, like there's this kind of subtextual stuff there that people can kind of chew into and gay people can talk about and stuff, and that was more fulfilling to me. Like, I'm really curious to see Frozen 2. I haven't done it yet, because like the first one wasn't gay outside of subtext that you could read into. Yeah,
conceal, don't reveal.
Yeah, the second one, like, from what it sounds like, they kind of gay bait a little bit. Like, Elsa hears this woman singing to her, and then it's like, hey, it's your mom. You know,
there's very little subtext in Frozen 2.
It reminds me of Marnie Was There a little bit, which is the most gay baiting movie I've ever watched in my entire life.
That was so...
It's a time traveling grandma.
And I remember
who came back as a young child to fuck with you.
And I remember like some of the people we knew with the best intentions, with the absolute purest intentions, were like, "Oh, Niamh," and oh dear.
Oh, me and my girlfriend were watching it, holding hands, and we're like, "This is so cute. This is beautiful." And then it like the twists drop, and we just like let go of our hands, and we just had our arms folded, and we're just like, "Fuck this fucking shit! I can't believe we've been gay baited like this so hard."
Oh,
yeah. It's just, I get the good intentions, but it's not good intentions. It's really ignorant intentions. It's like giving someone wrong directions. When like it's
the problem is like I think it can come from people with the best intentions who have no fucking idea what they're doing, you know. And I think sometimes you can see that stuff turn around. Like I think I've probably given this example before. Yu Yu Hakusho, there's like a really shitty depiction of a trans character, Then the same author, Tagashi Hunter x Hunter, really great depiction of a trans character. And it's like, it's weird that he kind of came around and nearly learned. But it's weird. There's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, it's a weird space to experiment in. Like, you can't, like, at this point you should reach out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Ask before you do.
Guys, let's say we move into some Patreon shoutouts.
Did you know that we have a Patreon?
No, I did know that. I actually did know that.
You did? Neither did you know?
Bryan,
We have a Patreon?
don't.
Never mind.
No, we don't.
Look, all I was going to say is that...
Niamh, would you mind just taking
Okay.
a walk?
Okay, so I actually want to rework the bit. Okay, guys. Okay. Guys, I found the coolest website in the world.
Oh shit, what is it?
Patreon.com/LFAB. Like, it is the best website in the whole
Oh
world.
yeah? Like,
Yeah.
That's
what's the deal there?
You just go to it's just got a little blurb about a bi-weekly podcast called Let's Fight a Boss, and it's just them
What do they talk about?
video games. If they
Are you there's a video game podcast?
yeah.
Oh man, I would support that in a second if only there was a way. Sorry, keep talking about your
But see,
website.
the thing is, the Patreon.com is a supporting website. It's for people who want to become patrons.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah. No, I'm dead fucking serious. Yeah.
Oh my god, Niamh, can you believe this?
Just no.
I refuse.
I just didn't think
Not at all.
such a cool website would ever exist.
Yeah.
And you need to put that combination of letters in for it to happen. If you do
Patreon.com/LFAB.
if you do anything else, it doesn't work. It has to be those letters.
Cool, man. And like, am I gonna get anything from that?
Well, you might get to listen to the black tapes.
The forbidden
The
podcast.
fabled Let's Fight a Boss black tapes that were apparently too extreme for the internet.
Too extreme, or maybe they just sound bad, but too extreme.
It's
Let's
one
go
or
with
the
that
other.
one. And you'll get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, which is full of lovely people.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
the nicest people ever.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I just want to clarify something. After kind of a few of the last couple of reads, people were asking, like, am I actually advocating for people to commit crimes to support the podcast? And obviously, like, I was, and that's what I said. And I just want to offer a few more suggestions. Credit card scams. Just launder some credit cards, pick some wallets, send that money right towards the LFAB podcast. No one will ever know. Who's going to miss $3 a month? There's all kinds of shit you can do with the internet. If you work in a large business, maybe skim some off the top.
If you have like free pens, just send us the pens.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one, and this one's even legal. If you have kids, just take away their pocket money.
Yeah. I watched that film Hustlers, in that they bring Wall Street men into strip clubs and get them real drunk, and they have a great time with the credit cards.
Yeah.
So maybe
Maybe do that.
Yeah.
Get a Wall Street guy really drunk, bring him to the patreon.com/LFAB website and get him to sign up.
Yeah. Remember, like, you can support this podcast. It doesn't have to be with your money.
So we have Patreon shout-outs. You can type whatever you want. We'll say it within reason.
And guys, just say thank you everyone who does contribute. You guys are super cool.
Thank you. You are real.
You are the realist. Bryan, why don't you start off here?
This first one is from Joe Dio-san. By listening to LFAB, I've gone from sick to sickening.
That's what we try and do.
That's guaranteed. This is from Board Skeleton. LFAB. Listening for a Bryan.
Oh, very, very good.
That's not what that stands for. It stands for looking for a boyfriend.
Aw.
Oh, a little bored skeleton. This next one is from Krantech. Podcasts are the inferior form of content to Morse code casts. And then there's a little cat girl singing?
No, she's doing the
she's
like
shrugging.
Shrugging? Okay,
yeah, shrug
I
face.
guess so.
Just a little cheeky little thing.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Crantic. Thank you, Board Skeletons. Thank you, Jodio-san. We'll see you guys in the Discord. Guys, what shall we finish up with a loot drop? So I got one from a YouTuber called Jose or Josie, I'm not sure which, but they recently put out a video called, I think, Building a Better Man with Home Improvements, and this is an hour-long video essay breaking down Tim Allen's home improvement sitcom, and it's is a really interesting look at the way that show kind of treats like gender and like this Tim Allen's whole shtick about like, oh, I'm this primal man trapped in the 90s and I can't understand these modern concepts of gender. And as someone who never really watched Home Improvement, I found it really interesting. I think like it did get across like why that show was a hit and also why parts of it kind of suck. And I just thought it was a really good video essay. Jose or Josie is someone who kind of like I've had my eye on them for a while, and I think this is one of those videos where you're like, wow, fuck, this person has progressed a lot and they are getting better and better at doing this, so fair play to them.
Yeah. Niamh, are we doing the same loot drop?
Yeah, me and Bryan have the exact same loot drop.
We watch the same stuff on YouTube and we get recommended the same stuff, and so it's finally happened. Do you want to do the first part?
Yeah, this is Lady Knight the Brave.
And it's Haunted Metaphors, a Russian doll video essay.
I think it might be the best video on Russian doll on the YouTubes.
It's very good.
It's really brilliant. It really breaks down a lot of the themes, especially went into a lot of Jewish and Judaism that is in Russian doll, obviously given the creators, which I don't know anything about, so that was a really interesting segment.
It was very insightful.
Just a great channel. She also has another video on Fleabag, which Bryan is a big fan of.
Yeah, I love season 2 of Fleabag. I've watched it twice, and her dissection of it is very, very good. Just
really good editing as well. The music behind stuff was amazing.
Yeah, and she's funny.
Yeah. A funny woman.
Niamh.
I like a bit of humor in my video essays. I don't like the whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, John, I'm not meant to be looking
Fuck you.
I'm also going to throw another one in there because I've been listening to this artist a lot, and she's really great, and she's like a new album. It's called Pang. It's actually her debut album, but she's been in a band before. It's Caroline Polachek, and she's a song called Ocean of Tears, and she's like a pirate wife, and she is amazing, and I love it. And it's really great if you listen to like if you read some high fantasy books and then listen to this album, and then you're like you're like living your true nerd life.
Niamh, I do appreciate that. You're just you.
Yeah, and like it's nice that you're explaining your lifestyle to people, and
yeah.
it's something the body does.
Yep.
Fair play. Guys, that's gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. What do you guys feel like you learned from it?
That we can be pleasant and mean to each other.
It's kind of what we learn every time.
Yeah.
Oh, Shenmue 3 bad.
Yeah, that's real. That's Shenmue 3
guys,
sad.
My soul is sore.
Do you think we'll ever have to play it?
Yeah, yeah, I do, buddy. No. See you soon, guys.
Bye.
Oh shit! Listen, this is gonna be the last normal episode this year. We have Game of the Year coming. That is our annual bloodbath. The first episode, the pre-show will be releasing on Christmas Day, December 25th, and the full Let's Fight a Boss Game of the Year will be releasing the following day after that. You guys
December
excited?
26th.
December 26th.
We're going to see who survives. Last year we were pretty tame, I guess.
We were. It was
yeah.
one of the I enjoyed it a lot. And like these are always our most listened to episodes, which I always find really exciting.
But this year I'm ready for a fight.
Yeah, I know, and I'm so tired. Yeah.
I'm going to smack both your bottoms.
That's an awful thing to do, Niamh. And then we'll get back to regular podcasting sometime in like the second or third week of January.
Crown a
because-
new queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will crown a new queen.
Yes, we will.
But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. And there's keep an eye on the YouTube channel. Maybe we got some guys. We love you, and we will see you for Game of the Year. And enjoy.